Is it sane? Is it possible? Still I ask myself, are we our game? It's not logical, but you contemplate, are we am I?
Hockey. I love hockey. I don't necessarily love Maple Leaf hockey. Sorry. I am eating roasted edamame beans, and I didn't realize how little time I had left before we went to air. And these are sriracha, and they're quite good. But I have not had the chance to have dinner because, guess what, everybody? I took my daughter to soccer tonight. And you know, one of the things that you realize about children when you have them is that they're inherently lazy, like super lazy, very lazy, don't want to do stuff. My daughter looks at me and she goes, you know what, Dad? I hate soccer. And I said, Ev, I always wince when she says I hate. I'm like, that's a strong word. Let's not be using that word. And I said, do you hate soccer or do you hate tying up your shoes? She looks down and she looks at me and she goes, I hate tying my shoes, because she's still trying to figure that out. She's, 6 going on 7 here. And I said, okay, it's one thing to not like tying my shoes or whatever. It's another thing to hate soccer. I said, so why don't we work on the shoes thing? I'll help you with it. It'll be all right. And anyway, long story short, she gets her shoes on. She gets out on the pitch. Obviously, she's starting to, she's got girlfriends there and they're all having fun. Anyway, later on in the hour, she comes up to me. She's like, oh, I got a stitch in my side. And she's like almost in tears. I'm like, Ev, it'll be okay. Don't get crazy. Just breathe through it. It'll be gone. I'm fine. Anyway, so she's going, and then I'm starting to notice the smile is coming back on her face, and she's high-fiving her friends. And then, wouldn't you know it, my daughter has inherited my athleticism, which is to say that none of it's inherent. You got to work for it. And tonight, later in the practice that she was in, she scored her very first goal. And when I tell you that she freaked out and told me how much, oh, thank you for the goal horn, Hayden. I appreciate that. When I tell you how much she was so flippin' pumped about this goal, about this incredible goal. And she was talking all the way home about how she loves soccer and how much fun she has. I just got to tell you, it was a really nice feeling. And if that's got to be the reason that I'm starving through the first period and eating roasted sriracha edamame beans, buddy, I will take that. I will take that every time. So anyway, love you all. Hey, thanks for all being here. I know people were complaining that I didn't do Monday night stream. I was actually at the game, but we weren't scheduled to do Monday night stream. We don't do every single Leaf game, although we try. So anyway, long story short, shout out to you for being here. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is sitting out tonight. Bobby McMahon is sitting out tonight. Scott Lawton is sitting out tonight. And it's getting a little interesting because it looks like Mackenzie Weegar is going to go to Utah. Colton Parayko, although there seems to be a trade worked out between the St. Louis Blues and the Buffalo Sabres, it looks like Colton Parayko has yet to actually waive his no-trade clause, so we don't know if that's actually going to happen. Oh, what's the update on the Parayko, Hayden? Give it to me. Okay, so there is the report out there that a source close to him says he wouldn't want to waive his no trade, but we don't know that yet. There's lots of people in these people's orbits. You got to remember, NHL players have like entourages and agents and family members, and there's lots of people who think they know. Can't tell you how many times I've been told this is a definitive thing and it's happening, and I can't corroborate it, and I can't go to air with it, and the thing doesn't happen. And I'm like, boy, I'm glad that I didn't go to air with that. Now, in honor of trade deadline, I got my Brad mug available on the SDPN shop. If things keep going the way they're going, this Brad mug is going to be out of date soon. Seriously. Anyway, long story short, Weegar gone. Parayko may be gone. Connor Murphy already gone. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is slowly becoming one of the sexier options for defense. So my assumption is that perhaps there's something somewhat close. Obviously, Oliver Ekman-Larsson wants to stay. He says he wants to be here. But long story short, you gotta kind of play the hand that you're dealt, and you got to move the assets that you can. I'm curious about McMahon and Lawton. Because while we've heard that McMahon, there will at least have been some negotiations there, I've not heard a single thing, not a single thing about Scott Lawton. And it makes me wonder whether they have even offered him a contract at all. I don't know, but I certainly haven't heard that they have. And so that would be disappointing, I think. But however, I guess they could always re-sign him this summer. Now, what you're watching on your screen right now is Team USA honoring their gold medal Olympians. And it's kind of perfect because obviously Jack Hughes was the big goal scorer. And there's some of the women's players right there. And also Austin Matthews was the captain of the team. So this would be a nice little moment for Austin and for Jack in front of the whole crowd. And I bet it's going to be an electric atmosphere in there. It's been a tough season for New Jersey. It's been a tough season for Toronto. Let me tell you something. That Philadelphia game, people were upset that we didn't stream it. Man, I don't know what we would have said. I remember Hayden saying to me, he's like, I am not unhappy that we didn't stream that. Here comes Jack Hughes up to the center ice, and Austin Matthews as well. Honestly, it was the most boring game of all time. Here they go. They're going to take the ceremonial face-off, and look at that. That's nice. It's like one of those things that you're like, it's one of the worst hockey games I've ever seen live. I couldn't believe it. Crazy. Anyway, we get to watch your Toronto Maple Leafs, experience your Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm gonna just gotta try to keep it light. I'm also gonna keep an eye on, and so is Hayden, on the potential trades. I'm gonna experience Toronto Maple Leafs hockey with me. I'm just posting that. What's that, Hayden? Oh, we got super chats. Let me have a look. Let me have a look with everybody. All right. First off, Meme Empress, I ate 2 eggs and now I'm making ramen. Ooh, I love ramen so much. And you're making me hungry. I'm a little upset about that. Talonseer says, I still remember you repping the Devils and their prodigious winning streak a season or so ago. Are you still bullish on them, warts and all? I think the Devils can be good. I think that they need a new general manager, and I think that's very likely what's going to happen. I think we all know that. Now, taking the first, this is crazy. Easton Cowan hadn't played in a month. He plays 8 minutes against Philadelphia, and now he's on the top line with Nylander. And by the way, this line together, actually, the line with Nyes, Cowan, and Matthews has some pretty good numbers. So Matthews and Cowan together on this line. McMahon, obviously, sitting tonight, as I mentioned, and we are off to the races. Heather, the Ass fan, dropping 5 SDPN memberships. Heather, is Nazem Kadri going to be an Av? What do you think? And if he is, Matthews with a shot right off the top. What are the Avalanche giving them? What do the Avalanche have to give? That's what I got to know. Hayden says he wishes the Leafs were in their blues tonight. Yeah, like a blue versus red would be sort of sick tonight. But I don't know. It's weird, the NHL. Here's a great idea, and the NHL's like, nah, let's not. Let's not. Anthony Stollers to Morgan Riley. There's a guy that, we got a steal. Mercer. Back to the point to Kovacevic. Kovacevic has been sitting off and on. There's Hughes. I'm kind of wondering, I don't know if you guys heard too today for Devils fans. Big save, big rebound. Hughes creating right now. I don't know if you guys saw it today. Simon Nemich's name is out there. Guy was a second overall pick, and he's like 22 or 21, and he's making $900,000. Simon Nemec? But I guess they really want to upgrade their forward group. I don't know. I don't think that means that they're keeping Dougie Hamilton too, does it? I don't think it does. Anyway, long story short, Nemec's name is now out there, and I think that's crazy. That's nuts. Heather does not want Nazem Kadri to be an Avalanche. She said that time has passed. Okay, Heather. Heather, here's my question to you now. If not Naz, then who? Because they seem to want a center. Nick Tushkin apparently was rumored. It was Adrian Dater with the report, so I'm not sure of its veracity. Not taking shots at Adrian. I just don't know Adrian. But I will say that, and I know he's an Avs reporter. I know that part. But I'm wondering about what they give. Nemec is 22. Somebody says Nemec would look great in teal. Listen, Sharks fans are the best. They're like, you know what? Oh, you don't want a great player? How about we take him? That player, that excellent, great player would look awfully good in teal. I'm already hearing people go, man, McDavid and teal with Celebrini, that might be cool. Shot. Good win from Nick Waugh, and there was a shot from the point there. I guess it was Michelli. I'm just wondering if tonight's game is going to be another dead zone one, Are we in for that? Is that what's going to happen here? Nick Waugh wins the faceoff again to Michelli. Michelli's got Myers and Benoit to pass it to, so he rightly goes, you know what? I'm not going to pass it to you. Then he falls. Benoit gets it, shoots it. It is way wide. Michelli behind the net again. He's moving out there. He's moving like a guy that wants to get traded at the trade deadline. Benoit across to Myers. Devils are very high and tight on Myers and Benoit, and you know why? Because they should be. Jet Set Radium Future says, aren't you an Avs fan? It's either Avs or Wylde for the Cup this year. Florida is done. Am I an Avs fan? No, I'm a Leafs fan. And that's why I'm perpetually sad. No, I'm a die-hard Leafs fan. Die-hard. Drew is the Avs fan. Producer Drew. And producer Hayden is the Minnesota Wild fan. It's tense at work. Let's just put it that way. Hi, Adam. This is Words. Leaf fan here. I want an entertaining game with a Leafs loss. It feels weird. Let's get the lottery going. Honestly, it's a deep draft. You get into the top 5. Imagine the Leafs pulling Islanders. People forget this. The Islanders, I think, had the 10th best odds at the first overall pick, and they got it last year. Would be awfully nice to sneak in there and grab a Gavin McKenna or a Veerhoff, wouldn't it? Would kind of change things for them. I mean, there's other names other than those guys, though. Sorry. Hayden says, would you trade Matthews if it guaranteed McKenna? Well, what's the return for Matthews? Because it's going to be a crazy return. Here's the thing. Austin Matthews, as much as he's had a couple of down years, um, uh, he is still the best player in franchise history by far in terms of just skill. And the reality is that I think Austin Matthews will return to form once they fire Craig Berube. I made the comparison on the podcast today about when Dale Hunter, great pass, Matthews to Nylander. Nylander shot in a good save by Markstrom. That was blue line to blue line, and Nylander snuck in. So here's what I think. If you have Austin Matthews under a different coach, I think he's a different player. If you go back and you look, and I made this comparison on the podcast today, Dale Hunter coached the Caps for exactly one season, and it was Ovechkin's one of his worst seasons. He still had 38 goals. But I think they gotta move on. You guys want Brad gone. I want Craig gone. And I like Craig. I think he's a good guy, but I just think he's a not great systems coach for this team. Does that make sense? Matt Match says, why don't the Leafs trade for their first round pick back? Who do they have that Boston wants? I mean, Bobby McMahon would look good with the Bruins. I'd love to get that first round pick back, but Don Sweeney would be like, but what if we kept it, though? What if we kept it? Death Eater says, who are you cheering for tonight, Adam? I am cheering for trades. I'm cheering for, hey, Bobby McMahon and OEL and Scott Laughton are sitting. I'm cheering for trades. Go trades. Go trades. Just Matthew says, Adam is a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. He said so last time we played. That's right. I put on my Lightning jersey. You know what? If it gets bad enough tonight, I'll go back. I'll go into the cupboard and I'll get my Andre Palat New Jersey Devils jersey. That's right, because I'm a big Palat guy. It's just Julia said, did Bob get traded? Bob Bobrovsky has not been traded. So it's interesting with Bobrovsky because he's not been great this year. He's an 870-ish save percentage, goals against average over 3, and he's 37. And he wants a lot of money. And the Florida Panthers like, but I know we haven't been good, but you haven't been good, and you're 37. And so it looks like they're going to try to move him. And what's interesting is obviously they can retain 50% on his deal, but you can't double retain, which means the acquiring team's got to have $5 million not just available to play him or have him as a backup in the regular season, but in the playoffs too, because you got to dress a cap compliant lineup. So that kind of presents an issue because $5 million for a goalie you're not sure about is still a lot of money. I'm sure he could get moved. Like Montreal needs a goalie, but I don't think they're hard pressed to do it. If Ottawa were closer, here we go. Michelli scores. Nice setup by Dakota Joshua to Matthias Michelli. And this line has been reunited for the first time since Dakota Joshua had the lacerated spleen. Hey, that's a good start. Listen, we're rooting for trades. If the Leafs win or they lose, it really, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But this is a good play. Another guy, a bit of a sleeper, could be Nick Waugh. If they're trading Laughton, maybe they keep Waugh. But because Waugh's under contract for another year. But hey, great goal. Good go, Matthias. Maybe somebody will see that goal and be like, we could use a little of that Michelli sauce in our lineup. Rook says, hey, Adam, Devils fan here. This might be the first time I've seen fans on both sides want to lose the game. What do you think fixes both teams? That's such a good question. The Devils, I don't think it's much. I think they need to it's funny because the script is kind of flipped with them. You think about like how, bad giveaway, Carlo. Bad giveaway out front. Hang on one sec. I will answer that question. We're going to go to commercial break here in a second anyway, so I'll have time. Hold the phones. We'll get to you. Devils behind the net. Back out to Jack Hughes, who's already creating Just so much nonsense. This guy's so good at hockey. It's so frustrating. Carlo and Riley paired. Doesn't look like Carlo's going to get traded at this trade deadline. You kind of have to wonder, do the Leafs just hang on to him for next year? Or do they move him in June? Because if he's not going to get traded, I mean, I guess he could still get traded because they can't have the whole lineup out of the game. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, you were asking about what fixes both teams. I think in Toronto's case, you need a new general manager, you need a new coach, and then you need a direction. My problem with the Toronto Maple Leafs is we don't know what the hell they are. We don't know what they're trying to be. We're not sure what the plan is. I'm just moving some stuff around here so I can see. We don't know. Like what when you watch the Toronto Maple Leafs, are you like, man, they are trying to be a hard-hitting team, a rush team, a defensive juggernaut. We don't know anything. They're just bad. New Jersey should be a fast-flowing, high-tempo offense, especially under Sheldon Keefe, because nice save by Anthony Stolarz, not Sheldon Keefe. And somebody just fell on Anthony Stolarz' arm, but he's okay. He sure had a really good opportunity there to pot a rebound, and it's Timo Meier that fell on Stolarz. He's not a small man. Okay. So, yeah, I think with the Leafs is like what I need a general manager to sit in the chair and go, this is what we are. And we wake up every day. This is what we're going to be, and this is what we're working towards, and this is why I'll win the cup. I need a direction like that. With the Devils, it's kind of the same thing, only I think as long as you have Jack and Luke Hughes and hopefully Simon Nemec, or Simon Nemec, or however you want to, as long as you got Nemec, you got to make sure that you're winning games and you're a fast-moving, speedy team. I got to figure out what the hell happened there. I don't know why this team has been bad. I also didn't understand doubling down on two hyper-veteran goaltenders. I understand signing Jake Allen to that big extension, for a short AAV, like it's 1.8 million. But you signed Markstrom. He's 36, 3 more years. Like you're sure you couldn't get an upgrade? You're sure you couldn't even try? That part's weird to me. Jordan says Jason Dickinson to Edmonton, no more McMahon to them. So Jason Dickinson was traded. I haven't seen that trade, but I'm assuming, Hayden, do you have it? Okay. I have not seen a Jason Dickinson thing. So Hayden, keep an eye on that. Jordan, I don't know that Jason Dickinson to Edmonton means no more McMahon, because I look at the Oilers roster and I'm like, tell me how you couldn't use a guy like McMahon. There's a lot of teams that could. Okay, Dickinson's deal is in the works, not panned out yet, early stages. I think McMahon, by the way, they're showing the guys walking in today from the bus. And I'm wondering if they're going to show the guys that were scratched. So they walked over. The guys just walked over. Okay, so they didn't get the guys that were scratched. Yeah, I think that you can use McMahon. And also, what side does Dickinson play? Is he a right winger or a left? I just can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, long story short, you can use Bobby McMahon. By the way, Bobby McMahon on Elite Prospects, on HockeyDB is listed as a center. And he's also listed as a center on the Maple Leafs website, which is super weird. Okay, Dickinson's a center left wing. Man, every website lists Bobby McMahon as a center, maybe in junior, but there's no chance in hell he's an NHL center. I've never seen the man take a face-off. Anyway, Heather the Avs fan, I'm going to the game Sunday, which is Avs versus Wylde. Oh, that's going to be good. It's my birthday. Last 2 years, I've been treated to a hat trick. What are the bets it happens again? Do Hayden and Drew have any side bets? Hayden, do you side bet Drew at all when they play each other? Oh, and we got a goal here. And that's a good one. Wow. Kind of snuck through. It looks like it's Timo Meier. Hang on. We'll come back to you, Heather. Hayden was just telling me. And this looks just like another confused Leafs giveaway in their own zone. Stop me if you've heard this before. In fact, actually, don't stop me, because then I know you've heard this before. You've watched and experienced Maple Leaf hockey. So Stetcher is in the lineup for the first time in a bit. McCabe with just a weak backhand. It's blocked by a Devils forward. And this is what's so annoying. You look at Meyer getting this puck, fires it. That's great. What a great shot. All McCabe needs to do in this scenario, and they're not playing it back far enough for me to show you. I wish I had instant replay, is ring it around the boards. You don't need to do a weak backhand to Stetcher. Just fire it. And if your winger's in place on the other side, you'd be good to go. There's nobody there. And anyway, so he opts for the backhand. And that is why it's so frustrating watching Berube hockey, because they're confused. They're really confused. Anyway, the game's tied up 1-1. Get ready for sloppiness. So, Heather, to answer your super chat, by the way, I think so. Hayden was saying there's a lot of trash talk, no bets so far. Maybe if they play each other in the playoffs, we should have them do a public bet. What's that? Hayden says they laugh a lot at Steve and Jesse and I because their teams are good and ours are not. I get that. Can I just be honest? I was saying to, I think it was Julian McKenzie the other day, I'm like, I wish I knew what it felt like to dunk on Leaf fans, because it must feel really good. Like you see people and they're just so friggin' jacked about it. I'm like, God, it must be the most satisfying feeling in the world. We're just, it's the worst because we've been so cocky for a while and we've never friggin' gotten anything done. We got a fast break here. Great save by Stollers. That was Jesper Bratt, by the way. Yeah. Oh, Jesper Bratt gets the puck again, shot. And it was a tough angle. Nobody was there with him, but that's a couple of bad breakaways. And giving it to number 63 is a bad idea. I don't know if you know this. Have they read the scouting reports? One must ask the question. Anyway, long story short, I feel like I forgot where I was. I was just so upset. Oh, yeah. The Leafs are just not good. And Devils fans, you guys can watch. I'm watching your breakouts here. Here's Siegenthaler with the puck. He's waiting. No Leaf challenges. He gets the puck. They've gained the entries. You see what happened there? Now Lorentz makes a good defensive play there. In comes Yarncroke to Lorentz. Shot. Oh, Markstrom almost got caught going the wrong way. But the Devils, I know you've had a bad year. They look far more organized than the Leafs do. Right? Don't you guys think? Like, if you're a Leafs fan and you're watching the Devils and going, yeah, they look bad tonight. They look like that's a good hockey team. I know it's there. With Toronto, I'm not convinced it's there. With New Jersey, I know it's there. I know the talent's there. It just hasn't come together. And I think they need a new general manager to kind of sort this out. Rook says 2 beautiful shots so far. Hopefully it's a score-off tonight so we can get some excitement on our way to Cancun. You're going to Cancun. Are you watching this stream on the plane? I need to know. Silent Rob says both teams suck. Fist Rock says, cough, live show in Sudbury, cough. I know, we'll get on that. SLS98 says, how many likes for Devils pajamas? I don't have them here. I don't even know where they are. I have to go find those. The Aaron Andrews Devils pajamas collection. Ashkova, excuse me. Leafs need to stop giving Boston stuff. They traded the rights for Tuukka Rask to Boston and a first-round pick, Tyler Seguin, years ago. Now Brando for a first. Oh, I know. I think the only good deal the Leafs did with Boston is when we traded Caberlet to Boston and got a couple of picks. And listen, Caberlet won the championship, and that's great. It broke young Hayden's heart because he was a big Caberlet guy. But I think it's the best piece of business they did. But what did the Leafs do with those picks? Nothing. I was saying more in terms of teams. It's cold and rainy here in Jersey. Admin, if Keefe gets fired this season, the Leafs hire him back. I would take Sheldon Keefe back for sure. I don't think he's a bad coach at all. I think he's a very good coach, which is why I don't think New Jersey's going to fire him. I think he's going to get a shot with the next guy. I think Sheldon's one of the, if there's 40 or 45 coaches who are legitimately NHL coaches at any one time, right? Because there's 32 teams. There's always some guys on the outside, on the fringes. Sheldon Keefe's got to be top half. Like I'd say he's top 15. I think he's a very good coach. I think when it comes to the playoffs, he gets stuffed into a locker. Like his game planning decisions always drove me nuts with the Leafs in terms of like when he went up head to head against Bruce Cassidy. And the same thing happened with Mike Babcock. Cassidy knocked them both on their ass. He did. Cassidy's a damn good coach. A damn good coach. I do wonder about a guy. I know people keep bringing him up, and I keep saying, no. I don't think this would be a good fit for him. Pete DeBoer's name is out there, guys. Meme Empress. Leafs fans, tears taste like maple syrup. I bet they do. I bet they do. Doug, Leafs fan, you trust Brad making these decisions, GM next year? Well, Stetcher in. Tried to find Matthews. I don't know if so much as do I trust Brad? I feel like Brad should be smart enough to be able to sell. Wow, that was almost in the net. I think Stoller's got a piece of it, but in comes Mercer. Shot. Stoller's with a big save. Leafs getting caved in their own end, and this is the first line that's out there. Cowan, Nylander, Matthews, along with McCabe and Stetcher, which is an awkward pairing, but Oliver Ekman-Larsson is sitting out for potentially trade-related reasons. We don't know if he's getting traded quite yet, but they don't want him to get injured just in case it does happen. So am I trusting Brad with these decisions? Well, it really doesn't matter if I trust him or not. He's the one that's making them. Where I am curious is Brad the guy in June? And if he's not, who's the guy that comes in? That part I haven't been able to figure out. There's some obvious candidates for Berube. You could just promote Lalonde, which I would be very much against. You could go get Pete DeBoer. You could go get somebody else. You could go find the next Spencer Carber. You could find the next Sheldon Keefe. You don't know. But I think looking at the squad the way that it is, you're going to have to do something. And maybe another cool coach like, shakes loose and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even think that person would get fired. You never know. Yeah, Hayden says, what's Babcock doing? He's doing what he should do, and the Leafs should not hire that man. I do think we talked about Doug Armstrong on Monday, by the way. Jim Nill's contract might be up in Dallas. We don't know that for sure. If that's the case, as has been rumored, boy, I'd love me some Jim Nill. But why would Dallas let him go? Back up the money truck. I'm Catalyst says, Adam, you think we should fire Brad and hire Trotz? Maybe he'll put GM mode on easy this time. Absolutely not. Absolutely not should we hire Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz is retiring anyway. But no, I would take Barry Trotz as a coach. I think he's a great coach. Yeah. Normax says Jim Hiller is available, and he can stay available. No offense to him. Hayden says, has Bruce Boudreau run his course? Man, there's nothing I want more than Bruce Boudreau to be a part of the Leaf staff, even if it's part-time, just for the vibes. But yeah, I don't think Bruce is going to be the head coach. Nice shot in by Stetcher, by the way. That was low. Lorentz was able to get a stick on it. Oh, out front. Robertson had a shot, and he's robbed by Markstrom. These third and fourth lines for the Leafs tonight are actually getting some things going. I could see where and why Devils fans get a little frustrated here. The Devils' good players are very good. The Devils' depth at forward are kind of stinky at defense. Am I wrong? And no, not John Tortorella. No friggin' way. Yeah, Bruce Boudreau would be a fun addition. Like, I'd love to have Bruce Boudreau just like running the power play and being Mr. Happy Coach. But Luke says, hey, Adam, 3 weeks ago, I emailed something for VIP. Is there an alternate way of getting in contact? Thanks. Luke, I haven't looked at the emails. Jesse is the one that handles, but I can have a look. We do get a ton of emails, so it's possible it got lost in the shuffle, but I don't have an answer for you right now, but I will try to get one for you, and we can get you featured maybe on the next one. By the way, oh no, Zach says, let's go Rangers. Zach, Leafs and Rangers tomorrow night, buddy. And you've entered a chat with a bunch of Devils fans. And even though the Leafs and the Devils are bad, you're a Rangers fan and you've entered a chat with a bunch of New Jerseyites. I don't even know what it is. Is it New Jerseyites? New Jerseyans? New Joysies. A bunch of Joysies. Anyway, good luck here. Ash Gova says, I sent in my application to the Maple Leafs organization for either head coach or GM. Seems like they could use a guy with no clue what to do. I think they got enough of those guys. And listen, you know what sucks? I know Brad Treliving is a really good person. I got to interview him like 6 months ago. I know Craig Berube is a really good person. I root for them, right? Like, I'm not, when we're talking about these guys, like, we're not, I know Sheldon Keefe's a good person, right? You guys, Devils fans, you know that. I don't know anything about Tom Fitzgerald, but I'm sure he is. It's so hard when you know these people are like genuinely good human beings to criticize them this way. But that's why it's never personal. That's why it's never personal. You kind of feel like, oh, like it would have been nice if it had worked out, but it didn't work out. So I hope Keith Pelly is smart enough and strong enough to go, I'm out of my depths as president of this team because he's the CEO, president, whatever. Keith needs to go hire a president who's a hockey person. Doug Armstrong would make a ton of sense, and then have a young general manager under Doug Armstrong or Jim Nill. That's what I think makes the most sense. I just don't know if they're going to do it. There's rumors that Rogers, since taking over the Leafs, have cut a lot of jobs, and there is some bubbling dysfunction behind the scenes. And we've heard about that with the medical staff. That's already been reported on. I'm not speaking out of school here. I have concerns. I have concerns about this organization regressing on the business end, which will always, always, always come through on the ice. Black coffee, extra mustard. Adam, what could the Avs trade you for Scott Laughton? What are the Avs? So nobody's answered this for me. Oh, nice shot. Meyer almost with a tip in on Anthony Stollers. Domi collects, gets it to Tavares, and Morgan Riley's going to race the puck out across the blue line. Jersey, by the way, out shooting Toronto 13-6. There have been no penalties called in this game. It's just that Toronto's bad at hockey. I think Devils fans are finally getting to see how bad. What for the Avs fans in the chat who want to get a center, whether that's Kadri or Laughton or both, what do you have to give? Hayden, can you look up Puckpedia? What kind of picks do they have? I know they don't have much left in the system after Callum Ritchie was traded last year. Zach says, would you like Chris Drury as your GM? We want to exile him. No, I would not. He's all yours. No disrespect. So this draft, they have 2 4ths, 3 5ths, and how many 7ths? 4 7ths. Okay, so yeah, no thanks. Next year, they have a 1st and 2 seconds. Could you get a second? Man, I'd be pushing for a 1st round pick. And they have their 28 first. I'd be looking for a 1st if you could, but I don't know that. I mean, listen, everybody wants a 1st round pick. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. And I think with the Leafs, oh, there we go. Nylander to Matthews. Great pass. Matthews tripped, and it looks like he's drawn a penalty. I don't think this is going to be, this is going to be a hooking call, or a slashing call. And the Leafs are actually going to go to the power play, which might work against them. I don't know if you guys have seen the Leafs power play, except for that 1 3-week stretch this season. But holy moly, it's depressing. It's interesting. They called that a slash, but that looks more like a trip on Tanner Glass. Interesting. Riddick says, hey, Devils fans, Taylor ham or pork roll? Discuss. I don't know what those are. Do I need to go to New Jersey and find out? So Dakota Parent says it's Dickinson to Edmonton for Mangiapane plus a conditional pick. Oh, that's an interesting move because Dickinson makes a lot of money. So that's Edmonton. It's not real? Oh, Hayden says that's not real. Stop reading the chat. I'll let you know. Hayden is producing me. Nylander to Matthews with a great pass. That was a Matthews level shot. You'll update me. Thank you, Hayden. I appreciate that. What is Taylor ham? What is that? And what is pork? I think I know what the pork roll is, right? That's pork and it's wrapped in a phyllo pastry, like flaky. What is Taylor ham, everybody? By the way, we don't know that was the trade. So don't take that with a grain of salt because I don't know. Bobby says, if it is Bob's time and if Bob's time is over in Florida, that would make me so sad. You know, the NHL moves quickly, man. It's so crazy. 3 straight Stanley Cup appearances, and all of a sudden he's like, they're trading him. It's crazy. Heather says, we do not have much to trade, but I'd prefer Lawton. How is the Avalanche penalty kill? Because Scott Lawton, he has some offense, but the Leafs have the 4th best penalty kill in the league. And the reason for that is Steven Lorentz and Scott Lawton. And something I floated on the podcast today is, if you've got a penalty kill that's that good, why would you not take both of them? Like, combined, because Scott Lawton makes $1.5 million, the Leafs could potentially retain on both. You retain on Lawton, and that's $750,000 against the cap. If you retain on Lorentz, I think that'd be $500,000 against your cap. So you're basically adding 2 pretty good penalty killers. I would say elite penalty killers. I'm just going to go out and say it. 2 elite penalty killers who know each other and work very well. Yeah, Hayden just said, what about Lawton, Lorentz, Makar, Taves as a PK unit? Like, that would be sick. And Lawton wins faceoffs. Oh, we got a breakaway here at the end of the Devils power play. Leafs got next to nothing going. Couple of shots, that was it. I'm just wondering, like, why wouldn't you take that? That, to me, is worth a significant package. And you have Lorentz, I believe, available next year, and Lawton is only going to cost you $3-4 million in free agency. Probably not 3, probably more like 4.5. I don't know. Just makes sense. I'm looking at the Avalanche, and I know their special teams have been asked this year, but I can't find, where are they? Colorado Avalanche. Oh, okay, they're 3rd in penalty. So they're above Toronto in penalty kill, but only by a little bit. How about we make it better? What if it's better? Lorentz with a shot, Markstrom with a save, 58 seconds left to go in the first period. Taylor Ham is the company or the brand. Taylor Ham is the pork roll. Oh, okay. So Dickinson trade done. You say Frank Saravalli has it. All right, let me pull it up. Frank, let's go to Frank. What has Frank got? Got it. Hang on, Frank Saravalli. You both follow each other. Okay, so it looks like the deal pending as of 5 minutes ago. Oilers, Dickinson, and another piece. Mangiapane and a conditional pick going to the Blackhawks. If I'm not mistaken, Hayden, can you look up Jason Dickinson's? Can you look him up on Puckpedia? I believe he's making 4 or 4.25 or something like that. Dakota is mad at you, Hayden. She's like, I was saying that, Hayden. Rude. So Dickinson Field, I think he's a better match for the Oilers because he can play center. He makes more. He makes about $500,000 more. So the Blackhawks are going to save a little on their cap. And I think Mangiapane could be a good fit for the Blackhawks. He's going to get a ton of opportunity. Maybe he can regain some of his Washington form next to Bedard or next to Frank Nazar, who hasn't had a goal since like October. And Frank Nazar is a damn good player. I know he got hurt, but man, kind of crazy what happened there too. Byron says Taylor Ham and pork roll is like bad breakfast bologna. So it's a New Jersey thing? Riddick says in New Jersey, the question can start a fist fight. So Taylor Ham or pork roll, think bad breakfast. So, okay. So what is the question though? Was it Taylor Ham or pork roll? Like, do they call it a Taylor Ham or a pork roll? Like, what's a question? What are we asking here? I got to know. Anyway, by the way, Mackenzie Weegar, Taylor Sam Lamb. Did someone say that? That's funny. That's a funny. That's somebody that was watching all of our Sweden streams. I gotta say the sneaky one, the trade that I think we should all really watch out for, especially if you're a fan of a Western Conference team, that Mackenzie Weegar trade. I don't know if that's been. Is that confirmed yet, Hayden? So, okay, so it's not a done deal, but we think Mackenzie Weegar's on his way to Utah. I don't know how many Calgary Flames fans are in the chat. I don't know how many Calgary Flames games you guys watch, but I'm going to tell you something. Mackenzie Weegar fucking rocks. He's a really, really good defenseman. And you add to that defense, which already has Sean Dursey, who finally is healthy and playing great, and Sergachev. And Sergachev's won a couple cups, remember? Been to 3 finals. I don't know, man. Utah. Good for them. That's a big move. And they don't need to go crazy at this deadline. I know Chris Johnson was saying on the Chris Johnson show a couple of days ago, like, watch out for them, but they don't have to like destroy things. But they've been building this since like Bill Armstrong, the general manager, got to Arizona. They are loaded with good prospects. Loaded. So I don't know. If Utah is it Utah that we playing Vegas right now if the playoffs started? Because Vegas, to me, I don't know, guys. They're giving me Paper Tiger vibes. Yeah, that would be Utah. Right now, it'd be Utah versus Vegas. Ooh. I'd love to know what their head-to-head is, but let me give you a stat that kind of sticks out to me, guys. Vegas versus Utah, if the playoffs started today, let's just go something simple. Goal differential. Vegas is +7. Utah is +24. That alone, and I know Edmonton and Vegas are having goaltender issues. Guys like JJ Peterka, Clayton Keller, those guys get hot. Jaden Schwartz is having a crazy year, and if he has a great playoff, you know he's going to make $80 bajillion in free agency. Dude, watch out for the Utah Mammoth, man. Jacob Piercy says Mackenzie Weegar has the worst plus-minus in the league. Yeah, because he's on one of the worst teams in the league. Listen, first off, in the year 2026, delete plus minus. Goal differential is one thing. Delete plus minus from your vocabulary. It doesn't matter. No one cares, right? It's a useless, shitty stat. Also, the point of advanced analytics, and this has been my criticism of it, is to find diamonds in the rough. And sometimes analytics gets a little too slanted on, well, that team is bad, so all the defenders on that team might be bad. That's not true. Mackenzie Weegar is a stud. So Calgary gave up Rasmus Anderson and Weegar. They are well and truly selling good for them. Maybe they get Keaton Bierhoff or Gavin McKenna. But yeah, what's the clip we're going to? We'll come back because we got trade talk to talk about. We're hanging out all night. Oh, we're going to do a little Formula One season preview. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Hayden is a big Ferrari fan, and that means he likes heartbreak. If you're not into Formula One, I still think I want you to check out this clip because this show that we're working on, Nailing the Apex, it's friggin' awesome. And this season in Formula One is going to be awesome. And are there any good sports on a Saturday or a Sunday morning? That's why Formula One's perfect. It's like, I need some live sports. Throw on Formula One, it's on. So check out the season preview for Ferrari, and I will be back at the beginning of the second period. Maybe we'll have a trade to announce. The 2 remaining teams are, to me, the 2 most fascinating teams on the grid. And I want to go to Ferrari first. The reason I want to talk about Ferrari first is because everything's been, we got the Mercedes power unit and all that stuff that we can chat about, blah, 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 blah. But Ferrari had such a underwhelming season compared to what the expectations were. Remember, this is a team that just missed out on the Constructors' Championship a year before by a couple of points. They bring in Lewis Hamilton. They've already got Charles Leclerc, who is supposed to be a multi-time world championship driver by now, I would even say. I mean, this is a talented, experienced, and heritage group at Ferrari, and it seems like the power unit's gone well for them. How did you guys sort of absorb, and what did you think of their testing in Bahrain?
The team got better as testing progressed. They found what worked on their car and what didn't work. There was a marked difference between daytime running and evening running, and a marked difference between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc initially, and Hamilton got on the program a little bit more as the test furthered. Leclerc looked very comfortable and very happy.
Tim?
Agree with Nelson. I think the more laps they did, the better this car got. Their starts look interesting. I think the smaller turbo for Ferrari that they use, I think that is going to be an interesting narrative for that team for the first few races. Is it the right thing to be doing with this regulation? Was it the wrong thing to be doing with this regulation? Definitely is going to help them off the starts. There's no question about that. Granted, all the other teams were holding back with their starts during testing as well. But for both of these drivers, they enter with two different stories.
Mm-hmm.
You have, Lewis Hamilton, who really struggled last year, like really struggled. I don't think he can have that same level of struggling for 2026.
I don't think he can endure it.
I don't think he can. And on the other side of this is Charles Leclerc, who is an incredible driver. He's one of those drivers that Max actually worries about. And when you have another driver who really worries about someone like Charles Leclerc, granted Max has respect for Lewis as well, if you don't give this driver a car that they can go and compete and they believe that this team can win a championship, he's gone. There's no way he sticks around. There isn't. That clock is ticking for Charles Leclerc to win races, to win a championship. And so I think for this team, this is a huge year. This is a huge year to try and hold on to both drivers and try and give them something that they can compete and can see a bright future for themselves as well.
In different ways, it's make or break. I think that's what you're trying to say. But for Fred Vasseur, it's also make or break. And this project, the fear I have with Ferrari is that they have come out of the block strong with a smooth engine that gives them a lot of miles, a lot of, let's say, possibilities early on. A car that looks light. I must admit, it doesn't feel overweight at all. I think they're definitely on the weight limit or close to it, but admittedly not with the most advanced aerodynamics yet. We know it's got quite a basic version of the front wing, but that means there's a lot of emphasis on development, and that's where I'm afraid with Ferrari. It feels it could be like 22, where they start strong and then get overtaken. And that's the feeling that just creeps up on me.
Now, granted, if we look at it this way, if Ferrari has hit a home run here and they come out swinging and they have a competitive car all season long, this is going to be incredible for Formula One.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible for Ferrari. And, for Lewis, this could be the year that he could go and win that 8th driver's title, and that is something that would be an incredible story, and it would be great on all respects, right? It would be great for the sport, be great for Formula One, be good for us, and be a great story at the end of the day. So there's two, maybe 3 ways that this thing can shake out and can go, and I think that's what makes the start of this season just like so exciting, guys.
So let me ask you guys a really unfair question. Are you ready?
Blue. Oh, sorry.
No, I don't understand why there's blue on the Ferrari car. But no, or not asking you that. I wanna know this. If you were to give Fred Vasseur truth serum and ask him, hey Fred, if you could go back to the summer 18 months ago when you and Lewis agreed to this contract, got this thing done. Well, I know what happened in the winter, but you guys know what I mean. When these discussions started to happen. Do you think he would still make the same decision, or do you think, in retrospect, he's looking back and going, maybe we should have stuck with Carlos?
I think he would have made the same decision, because I think this team would not be fundamentally in a better position with Carlos. Yes, he may have been closer to Charles last year. There would have been less noise, etc. But he tried to get Lewis to add something to Ferrari, a level of knowledge, of race winning pedigree that the team was missing, or championship winning pedigree. And that gamble may not pay off, but I think he backs that gamble still.
It's a very expensive could be calculated roll of the dice, but when you believe that you can get one of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time on your team, you don't think about what the consequences are. You go and get one of the greatest drivers of all time, and you bring them and get their ass into the seat of your race car because they're going to make you better, right? That's just the way it is.
Conversely, there is Toto Wolff who didn't want to give him a longer term contract. So
Yes, that's also true.
that is also, two things can be true at the same time, and that relation may have been played out. I've been on this show before, and I you know what I think will happen with Lewis, but if they have a car that starts off pretty strong, he might have a different outlook on the season. But ultimately, I think Leclerc is quicker than he is at this point in his life.
And is that going to be an issue for the team, guys? Like Lewis has said, his DNA is in this car, which is a pretty confident statement. Is that going to be? I mean, the reality is that age finds everybody. Is that going to be something Lewis would be willing to accept?
Well, at some point, every person has to accept that. But
not unless you're Fernando Alonso.
Booyah. But what I do think is that if it's not going the way he wants it, Lewis, there's going to be friction within certain aspects of the team. Mind you, he doesn't have a full-time race engineer right now. He doesn't have a full-time comms person with him at this point. He feels very isolated within the team if you look at it from the outside. So I think there's work to be done there.
Okay. Very, very interesting. So this will give away the whole thing, but I'm curious about where you guys have Ferrari sitting at the end of this season. And again, whenever you're doing a prediction, it's an unfair question, but Ferrari seems to be the biggest. They could be great, or they could let us all down again. Where do you have them finishing at the end of this season right now?
Honestly,
Both of you have them in fourth.
Honestly, I hope I'm wrong. And
me too, actually. I think
really.
F1 needs Ferrari to be higher.
They do. Yes, that we like F1. The stories that are with both of these drivers, the stories that is with the team, the stories is with their team principal and Frederick Vasseur. We need it for sure. Like there's no question about it. And I think that and I hope we're wrong, but if they're in that battle for constructors title, that's going to be great. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. But granted, they're up against some really stiff competition now. Like this top four that we're talking about, I don't see it being separated by hundreds of points. I see this top four being separated by like handfuls of points.
So it can change week to week.
Definitely dependent on track characteristics. Yes. But I just think they may start strong, but they have the opportunity to fade away.
Okay, so we have we got the trade, the Edmonton Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks. Very weirdly, Frank Saravalli tweeted out the trade before it was fully complete, and then Pierre LeBrun was able to retweet it and give us the rest of the trade. So if the influencers, if the insiders are keeping score, I feel like this is like NFL football when you get a half sack. Both of them get a half sack. All right. So Frank said to the Oilers, Jason Dickinson and another piece. Is that Bedard or who is that? And then to the Blackhawks, Mangiapane and conditional pick. Again, is that the first round pick forever and ever? We don't know. So LeBrun cleared it up for us. He said the Blackhawks are going to retain 50% on Dickinson in this trade. So that's interesting because he makes $4.25 million. I think it's just next year. But it gives the Oilers more depth at center. and a guy who can also play on the wing as well. And you can never have too many centermen. It's just not a thing. He said there's also another player going to Edmonton. The Blackhawks would get Mangiapane and Edmonton's first-round pick in 2027, but it's protected. We don't know how protected it is. Is it a top 10? Is it a top 15? We don't know. But Edmonton, Dickinson's a very good player, but Edmonton is paying a big price to have to, and I'm bringing up Jason Dickinson's stats here. They're paying a big price to get out from under that Mangiapane contract. Oh boy. And Dickinson, he's having a rough year. 13 points in 47 games. Oh, I didn't know it was like that. I get, he's a depth guy, I get it, but so they're retaining. So the Oilers have just spent a first-round pick to, I'm processing this in real time. They've spent a first-round. So hold on, Hayden. So they dropped Mangiapane's salary. That's $3.6 million for next year and this year. So that clears up some space. They're bringing on Dickinson at 4.25 divided in half is 2.1115 or whatever the hell it is. So they're saving $1 million. I want to know. So they're saving $1 million and they're spending a first-round pick to do it. That's good move. That is good work by Kyle Davidson. And they're bringing in Dickinson. Is Dickinson the last year of his deal, Hayden? Do we know that? He's on the second year of his deal. So Dickinson will be expired at the end of this year. So you're basically paying a first-round pick to get out from under Mangiapane, but the salary cap is going up to flipping $105 million next year. Hayden's like, Stan Bowman is bad at this. But why? Yeah, they dumped the Mangiapane contract, but like a first-round pick to save $1 million this year? And it's next year's first-round pick. I want to know who the other player is. We still don't know who that is. I need to know who that other player was. There's got to be more to that. Am I guys? Okay, you guys look at this deal. Am I crazy? I think the Blackhawks just absolutely fleeced them. Right? Am I wrong? So Uyghur, by the way, has agreed to waive his no move. We still don't have word of the deal yet. But Devil says, you're not saving $1 million, you're saving $3.6 million next year. Okay, but the salary cap's at $105 million next year. And McDavid's making $12.5 million next year. It's not like his salary's going up. Like, if you're going to attach a first-round pick, take Darnell Nurse's contract. That's what I want you to take. Andrew Mangiapane? Man, the Leafs should have taken Mangiapane. Why didn't the Leafs do this? The Potato Empire says, Adam, I'm a Blackhawks fan. I personally think Connor Murphy and Dickinson were picked up because of the penalty kill. Well, that's great. Where are the Oilers in the penalty kill? I got to know this. The Leafs are playing hockey, by the way, but who cares? No, we'll get into it. I promise. Just give me a sec. Let me just go to this. I got to understand this trade. I don't get this at all. PK. Chicago's got the best PK in the league. Okay. Where is Edmonton on that? Edmonton Oilers. 26th. The Edmonton Oilers are 26th. The Blackhawks are first. So you're getting two very good penalty killers, Murphy and Dickinson. Great point. Thank you for pointing that out. I got to know who this other player is that's going to Edmonton. There's got to be somebody useful. And beyond that, I mean, it's sort of like what I was saying in the first period. Why don't you trade? The Leafs have the fourth best penalty kill in the league. Why not trade Lawton and Lorentz together, make it a package deal, and go, hey, look, here's your new number one PK unit. On most teams, they would be. Hayden says we're being too creative. Damon McDonald says, Adam, what is the condition? Damon, we don't know yet. No one's told us what the condition on that first-round pick is. Is it top 20, top 15, top 10, top 5? No idea. No idea. Leafs are on the power play, by the way. Michelli's having a very active night. Just took a stick to the face from Kovacevic. So the Leafs power play, which last time, at least they got 2 shots. The Leafs power play is going to go to the power play, and they are not dangerous. If you're a New Jersey Devils fan and you're worried, I'd be shocked if anything happened. Where is Toronto's power play? By the way, Toronto is tied with the Blue Jackets for 19th in power play percentage. That's up from 32nd earlier this year. When you have Nylander and Matthews, there's no excuse to at least not be in the top 10. Outrageous. Morgan Riley's bringing the puck up. Matthews to Nylander. Puck is dumped in. Tavares gives chase. He gets it. Hughes all over him. Nyes with the puck. And he passes it to Morgan Riley, who's not ready for the pass. Back into the Leaf zone we go. Stollers with a big headman pass to Nylander to Matthews. Across the blue line. Oh, what a pass by Willie. And a shot by Tavares, who was all alone. Willie, incredible vision on that one. Tavares just couldn't get it past the shoulder of Jake Markstrom. Taylor says, what do you think the minimum you'll trade OEL for? You know what's interesting? I can't remember the Connor Murphy trade off the top of my head. Do you remember what that was? I think OEL's probably more dynamic this season than Connor Murphy is. I think you look at the Mackenzie Weegar trade and you work backwards. You're probably like, okay, well, OEL is maybe 80% the player that Weegar is. Is that fair? So Murphy, I don't know I think his deal expires this year too. OEL's doesn't. OEL's got 2 more years at $3.25 million. Oh, Leafs are doing a good job here. Yeah, so Connor Murphy's in the last year of his deal, so he's a rental. OEL you're getting for the next 2 seasons, and he's a friggin' bastard to play against. He's very, very good offensively. He's been the only bright spot on the Leafs blue line this entire year. Him and Troy Stecher, and Troy Stetcher's game has fallen off a little bit. So yeah, I think if Connor Murphy's were the second, although he's a very, very good penalty killer, I think you have probably. Could you get a first? I think you can get a first. Here's what I want for Leaf fans. I want prospects. Weegar deal is done. Okay, give it to me, Hayden. Okay, Frank Saravalli is about to tweet out the framework of the Weegar deal. Calgary gets 3 second-round picks, a prospect to be named, and Oli Mata. Okay, Oli Mata, who's been scratched like 40 times this year. So Mata is just a space filler. His contract's probably up anyway. You get 3 second-round picks. Hey, good for Calgary. You can use those picks or you can parlay them into something else. Good for them. Francois Labelle says, so the Leafs got a point last game. Are they buying? No, Francois. No, please don't put that into my dreams. UTY209 says they're going to try him in goal instead of et cetera. That's Dickinson. Yeah, well, they're stuck with the goaltenders that they have. Tyson Barnett, Adam, how come we don't see hockey coaches try 4 5-on-5 lineups instead of 3 defensemen, 2 forwards, or 4 forwards, 1 defenseman? Why don't coaches tailor teams to even more of what they have? And Easton Cowan has scored a goal in the All-Depression Bowl in New Jersey. It's depression night in New Jersey, and the Maple Leafs are slightly less depressed than the New Jersey Devils right now. Easton Cowan gets a goal, his first in well over a month because he didn't play in a month. Nice shot. Oh, did Willie tip that? So Cowan, and then, oh no, I don't think Willie tipped that, but it looked like it. I think the Devils defenseman tipped that. Good for Cowan. Good for him. It's crazy when you play him in not a defensive role with like Lorentz and Lawton, how he can be effective. It's not Cowan's fault that they're screwing it with his development. He's going to have to just weather it. Berube's gone, man. He's so gone. Alex says, I've been under a rock all day. Tell me all the trades. Well, looks like Mackenzie Weegar is on his way to Utah. We're not totally sure what that is going to look like yet, although the framework is coming, according to Frank Saravalli. We got Mangiapane to Chicago for Dickinson and another player who we don't know yet. There's a protected 2027 first going to Chicago. And it looks like New Jersey is going to the penalty kill. Toronto going to the box, or Toronto going to the power play again. It looks like it was a cross check. I don't know if it was Brendan Dillon, but the camera's on him. I think it is. Oh yeah, oh my God, he broke his stick over Nick Robertson's back. Of course, yeah, that's a penalty, man. Why are you shaking your head, Brendan? You just snapped your friggin' carbon fiber into this guy's back. Anyway, so the prospect going back to Calgary for the Uyghur deal, it's not out yet. We don't know who it is. But it is not Iginla. If you're a Flames fan and you're hoping it's Iginla, it's not TJ Iginla. By the way, Tyler Myers also went to Dallas earlier today, as people are pointing out in the chat. Second and a fourth round pick going to Vancouver, which is a good trade for them, I think. Basically, from their playoff run 2 years ago, when I started doing streams, there is one defenseman left on that roster from that run, and it is Phil Hronik, and he's staying. So, nuts. Dude Meister says the Buffalo Sabres are finalizing a deal to acquire Colton Parayko. So here's the deal on that one. I don't believe Parayko has waived yet. So, here we go. We got a breakaway. The Leafs are going to allow Shorter to go. No. Oh, they didn't. Okay, thank goodness. Yeah, so we don't know if Parayko's going to waive to go to Buffalo. We know the deal might be in place, but I don't believe that waiving has happened. Nice shot by Matthew Nyes. Listen, I know they're down 2-1, but Markstrom's look good tonight. He's looking sharp. Sharpstrom. Shadow Complex says, boys, are we back? Hell yeah. The Leafs are back to prove the haters wrong. Playoffs, here we come. Let's go. Alex says, to be super clear, the Leafs have done nothing. Okay, Alex, I'll give you what the Leafs have done. They held out Lawton and McMahon and Oliver Ekman-Larsson tonight, which means that they're in negotiations. So we'll give you that. It's not that they've done nothing. Well, they have done nothing, but they aren't doing nothing. Stolarz takes a shot off the helmet, and the helmet falls off his head, and they blow it dead because that's the rule. Dancing Bear says, EP for Kotkaniemi straight up. Makes EP practically a $7 million cap hit, and the Canes have tons of space. Man, I got to be straight with you. I know Kotkaniemi's been on his way out of Carolina for a while, and Elias Pettersson's been on his way out of Vancouver for a little while, and I know that the Vancouver Canucks are trying to move him, and the Carolina Hurricanes are definitely interested in EP40. But I'm going to tell you something, guys. I think buyer beware there. Like, what do you mean you haven't had a shot in 3 straight games and you make $11+ million? That's not a systems issue. That's a you issue. It is. Canucks fans know it. And you see Petey in front of the media. He's miserable. He's so upset. And I get that too. Like, maybe he gets a new fresh start and is energized again. But to not have a shot, that's an effort thing. That's an effort question. Riley back. Leafs on the power play here. 44 seconds. Matthews with the shot. That is blocked by Siegenthaler. Hamilton and Siegenthaler out there killing penalties. Maybe Dougie Hamilton is a Leaf at some point. I have kind of wanted them to get him. Just because I think, hey, he probably could be had pretty cheap. Shot all the way down the ice. Stolarz gets it. He's going to pass that back up to Austin Matthews at center ice. Leafs changing. The second power play unit's going to come out here with 22 seconds left on this Leafs power play, which, again, has not been particularly good. Okay, Hayden's telling me Friedman's got the full Uyghur trade. So I'm going to go to Friedge, HNIC, Elliot Friedman. So, per Elliot Friedman's sources as of 55 seconds ago, Mackenzie Weegar is leaving the Calgary Flames. Leafs had a couple shots there on net. 4, Oli Mata, Jonathan Castagna, and 3 second-round picks. Hayden, can you do me a favor and look up Jonathan Castagna? Get me a scouting report. Oh, big goal. Big depth goal. Gritsik for the New Jersey Devils on a beautiful setup. And a laser beam shot. It fools Anthony Stolarz. And we get a tie game here. Hey, at least they're scoring goals. This is so much better than the Philadelphia game. And this game isn't even that good. Great move here Brott just carries the puck. He's been very active tonight, very, very on it. And, Gritsik beats Stoller's blocker side, and Stoller saw it. He just caught him. That's a big goal in this game. So Castagna is a 2023 third-round pick. How big is he? He's from Toronto. 6'2", 200 pounds. And he's in the ECAC, the ECAC. Okay. 32 points, 29 games for Cornell. Okay. Hey, university guys, man. Is there beyond the stats, is there a scouting report on him available? If you can Google that, I just want to see. He's from Etobicoke, according to Warrior Womp. Good for him. Well, he's back in Canada. The Pancake Man says, I'm just hate watching at this point. Well, you guys know I'm not doing play-by-play much tonight because, why? Let's talk trades. That's way more fun. The scouting report for Castagna is he's big, he is fast, and he's got hands. Well, that's great. Yeah, he's not a physical necessarily guy, but he's a like a Nick Bukestad type. Hey, you know what? Any team could use that. Lee says, do you think Toronto will get the same or better for Lawton that they paid? No, and I'll tell you why. It's two reasons. Number one, Lawton's contract extended past the year that Toronto traded for him, so he was not a deadline rental. The other thing that happened with Philadelphia is they retained half on his deal. So Toronto got the retention and the extra season. Toronto could retain on this deal, but I don't think there's any chance that you get, a first and a prospect for him unless you get a team that's super desperate, because you're not getting Lawton for next year. And yeah, I guess you could have the Leafs retain. They have the retention slot to do it at $750,000. I don't think so. Listen, if Treliving does it, great, but I don't think so. Gallant says, Adam, I enjoy the stream, but why don't you call play-by-play like Steve does? It's like the game interrupts you. Well, sometimes I do. Like if you were watching my streams during the Olympics, I did a lot of play-by-play and a lot of chat. You want me to call the late season Toronto Maple Leafs New Jersey game? Or do we want to talk trades? I don't know. You guys tell me. It's just like it's a bad game and a bad team, and they're both bad teams. I don't know. I want to talk about what's exciting, I guess. Maybe that's just me. By the way, Matthew's just in on a 1-on-3 there. Puck just flipped over the net. What's up, Hayden? Hayden says, do you wish the NHL could trade further into the future like the NBA does? Because I think the NBA can trade like 6-7 years into the future or whatever it is. So there was a trade this year that somebody's currently in 8th grade, and that trade's been made. Yeah, absolutely. I wish that could happen. Leafs going to the box here. I think that's going to be Carlo with the trip in the corner behind the net. It's a bit of a weak one, but the Leafs had gotten away with a couple, so it was about time the Leafs got called, let's be honest. Sipilkov went down. Yeah, I wish they could, because the NHL can only trade 3 drafts into the future, which is, yeah, you should be able to do more than that, but Gary Bettman hates trades, so. All right. Give me that 2040 first. That's funny. Yeah. X Muzak says, what could the Leafs realistically get for Riley this summer? I think in Riley's case, you're not looking for major assets back. I would temper my expectations with that one. I think what you're trying to do is get out from under that contract. It's not that he can't revive his career and become a valuable piece of another team again. I think Craig Berube has been horrible for Morgan Riley's career, I'll be honest. And I don't know if that's entirely Morgan Riley's fault, but he's got to own half of that. I think he needs a fresh start. He needs to play in a system that flows. Like the way Dan Muse has the Pittsburgh Penguins playing, I look at that and I go, Morgan Riley would fit a system like that. He would fit a system like what New Jersey plays. But let's be honest, neither team needs Morgan Riley. So they're going to have to find somebody. And I think the best we can hope for as Leaf fans is that he's happy and that we get out from under the deal. Girthy Bettman says, "You're right. I despise them." Girthy Bettman weighing in from head office in New York. Grand Lake Rock says, "Do you think Edmonton is wishing they traded for Bobrovsky 50% retained? He'd have a lower cap hit than Jari and his contract off the books at year end." I think Stan Bowman's not a very good general manager, guys. This is the same man. I have to keep nailing this home. He traded Artemi Panarin for Brandon Saad. Artemi Panarin has had 700 points since the Blackhawks traded him. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, he inherited a Ferrari that was warmed up and the keys were in the ignition with those Chicago Blackhawks. That's Dale Talon's team. And he Oh, wait, we got an update on the Uyghur trade. What's up? Okay, so Castagna's unsigned, so they can sign him. Okay. All right. Anyway, long story short, the thing I'm thinking with where were we at? I can't even remember. My ADHD is going berserk right now. I love trade deadline for this. Leafs doing a pretty good job killing penalties, by the way. I'm watching. I kind of was wondering tonight, like, how do they look without Scott Laughton in the lineup? Because he's been such an ace for them. But Yarncroke and Wylde are out there doing a pretty good job. They've been the second unit a lot of the time when Yarncroke is playing. Although, nice shot in there. Anthony Stolarz was able to make a save. 1:11 left on the power play. And there's downtown Connor Brown, former Toronto Maple Leaf. Tried to jam one home. It was a great setup from Hughes, too. Great setup from Hughes. Wow. Okay. Hayden is telling me that the Oilers are getting absolutely torched online. So I was right. That's a stupid trade, right? Hayden's saying it's ruthless online. Like, that is a bad trade. I thought so. I had to think about that. I'm like, sometimes you hear a trade and you're like, that seems really bad. I have to think about that. And that's, I don't know if you guys watched my Michael McLaren video where the Wylde traded a second round pick for Michael McLaren, who's a 6'6", like a lug of a man. They call him Big Sexy. And you're like, why? Guy's career high in points is 22. Oh, shit. What a save by Stolarz. The Leafs left Anthony Stolarz out to dry, and Jack Hughes had the puck, made a beautiful pass, but Stolarz was able to stop the one-timer. Hey, at least somebody's got some pride on this team. Look at that. Hughes. Oh, wow. Oh, no, it was Hughes with the puck. Hughes with the shot. Excuse me. Wow. Great save by Stolarz. Great save. Sedin Magic 15, I remember in his press conference afterwards, he said they always intended to bring Saad back. Yeah, but you didn't need to trade Panarin for it, you dolts. Anyway, that was the end of the Chicago Blackhawks dynasty right there. I think the Blackhawks, had they had a smarter general manager at the helm, would have had a couple more really legitimate shots at the cup. Oh my God, here comes Hughes. Whoa! Great play. And no goal. That was Luke Hughes, by the way. Yeah, I think there would have been an opportunity for the Blackhawks to win another cup had they not traded Panarin. And I remember that series where they played Nashville and they scored 3 goals in 4 games. The Preds just killed them. Embarrassing stuff. Goki says the Leafs are actually cooked now. Have you missed the last few games? The Leafs have been cooked since mid-January. They're trash. Hayden says since October. They did have that good 3-week run, and we were sort of like, okay, maybe they have it. They did not have it. Yeah. You says smart money is the Leafs moves to Canes. Leafs moves to Canes. What would they move to the Canes? I don't know who the Leafs would trade to the Canes that the Canes would want. You want to see Luke? Hayden is saying he wants to see Luke Hames on the Leafs roster right now. Okay, well, you tell me. Hayden just threw a stat at me, and he's like, "Has he not done this?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Do I look like a man who's watching a lot of Marlies hockey? They're not even good. Leafs hockey is depressing enough. I got to watch Marlies now." So Luke Hames has 8 goals in his last 10 games. That's great. Quillen, by the way, was flown into New Jersey today. He could have played, but he might play tomorrow in New York. So we'll see. But yeah, listen, Hames, Quillen, Villeneuve, all having good seasons with the Marlies. You know what? Don't bring them up. Just let them play. You don't need to be a part of this, please. Coxie says the actual trade between the Mammoth and the Flames is out. Don't know if you all saw that. Yeah, we did. It was and I forget his name right now, but he's from Etobicoke, and Jonathan Castagna, 3 second-round picks. I just don't know what years those second-round picks are in. So Castagna, 3 second-round picks, and Oli Mata, who's been scratched the majority of this game, or majority of this season. Oh, Gallant says, yeah, how about Bowman fummeling Dustin Byfuglien? True. Good point. He did do that too. He really screwed that up. Yeah. No, I forgot about that. Now, listen, anytime you got a cup-winning team and you're loaded with people, you're going to lose people. But, like, Boland and Chris Versteeg were guys you could lose. Byfuglien could have, man, can you imagine? And it looks like Philip Myers is going to go to the box because he's just a frustrating player to watch. What did CJ say? So all 3 second-round picks for Mackenzie Weegar are for this draft. So it's the Mammoth have a New York Rangers second-round pick. They have an Ottawa Senators second-round pick, and they have their own second-round pick, and they just fired them to Calgary. Man, I like that trade a lot for Utah. I like it for Calgary, too. I think that's a fair deal. Oli Mata is the placeholder. Like, he'll play games for the Flames, but I think his NHL career is probably done after this season. I think the Flames did a great job on that trade. I think is that a better return than for Rasmus Anderson? Hayden said, is that a winning trade on both sides? It might be. I think it is. I think it is. I definitely think it is. Coxie says, Iginla too high to get. I think because Utah has TJ Iginla. And I know Flames fans want him and they want him bad, but I think when Utah threw Josh Doan into the JJ Peterka trade, and he was the throw-in. Michael Kesselring was the centerpiece of that deal. I think Utah made a mistake, and I think they know it. And I don't think that they want to let another young forward prospect go like that, because Josh Doan has become a star in Buffalo. He's been amazing. And Utah could have used him this year. And so I think, you don't want to do that again with TJ Iginla because it sort of empties the cupboard, right? Yeah. Anyways. He's also listed as their top prospect. So yeah, you'd have to get something big in return. He's going to be good. Ashkova says never underestimate second round picks. For reference, Lane Hudson was a deep second round pick. Matthew Nyes was a second round pick. Travis Konechny was a second round pick. Who else? There's some great players. DeBrincat was a second round pick. I'm just naming people that I know. Where's PK Subban? Did I say that? I might have said that. There's some damn good second round picks. Oh yeah, you never sleep on that. Your hit rate is less, but if you get 3 of them, you should hit on 1. Kucherov was a second round pick. No way. Ryan O'Reilly, Sebastian Aho. Wow. Yeah. Good for the Flames, man. You'll get no disrespect from me. Tyler Toffoli's favorite. Tyler Toffoli, by the way, Rob is running the chat tonight. Tyler Toffoli's always been his favorite player. That's a second round pick. I only ever criticized Calgary when they wouldn't pick a direction. Now that they have and they're actually selling and actually doing the right thing, I love the direction. Good for them. That's exactly what they need to be doing. So no criticism. Hughes, by the way, back over to Brott. Brott flips it to Hamilton at the point. Hamilton to Hughes. Hughes down low, across. Mercer tried to get it across, shot. And Anthony Stollers makes a great save on Jesper Bratt, who again is very, very involved. I feel like that man's going to score tonight. Oh, yeah, Nick Robertson, second-round pick. So is Jason Robertson. There are Edmonton Oiler accounts that are suggesting potentially that McMahon and Lawton could be heading to Edmonton in a package deal. Grain of salt. Grain of salt on that one. Let me look up Elliot Friedman here, because Hayden is saying, go look up Elliot Friedman. And I'm like, I've heard of him. Colton Dock is another part of the trade conversation to Edmonton. So this Dickinson deal isn't quite finished yet. What do we know about Colton Dock, everybody? Warrior Womp says Colton Dock's parents are Hickory and Dickory. Get out of here. Okay, straight up, I kind of appreciated that. Roman Josi, also a second-round pick. 9 points in 53 games. Okay. Well, he wouldn't be the only Doc to come out of Chicago. He's a 2021 second-round pick. Turk says, do the Oilers not understand that goaltending? Oilers do actually understand goaltending isn't the problem, right? Is it defenseman? Like with the Oilers, is it system? Like, what is the deal there? Because the goaltending does seem like a problem, but their defense also sucks. Ekholm's getting older. I love Bouchard. He's friggin' awesome, man. And Bouchard in the playoffs, he's a different beast. I know he's not always committed on defense in the regular season, but in the playoffs, that guy's a rock star. I think they need more. Jake Wallman's been kind of stinky the last few games, too. Rasmus Anderson was a second-round pick. Colton Dachos? Oh, those are too spicy. I like that, Ian. That's funny. Damon McDonald says, as a Pens fan, I love Skinner. Yeah, not only does he make half the money Jari makes, but he's putting up good numbers. And you know why? Because the Penguins are a possession team, and the best defense is possession. That's hockey. Possess the puck, and they can't score on you. Buck says Anderson is the most overrated player in the NHL. Oh, girl. All right. All right. A little sassy there. Damon McDonald, Skinner, Girard, in 2 seconds for Jari. I know. That Kulak trade was really good. I like Sam Girard a lot, and he kind of fits the Kyle Dubas mold, which is, hey, do we have an undersized defenseman we can acquire? Great, let's do that. By the way, the New Jersey Devils are outshooting the Toronto Maple Leafs 28-19. Hi, Devils fans. If you thought you were having a bad year, this is my hockey team. And listen, I know McMahon and Scott Lawton and OEL are not in the lineup. Trust me when I tell you, it would be like 28-21 on the shots. Hayden is guessing that he's betting that's 30 shots before the third period. This Leafs team is going to sink like a rock. You guys know that. They trade any of these guys, which is good, I guess a good thing. I don't know if they're going to win again. Emily Kathleen dropping 5 SDPN memberships. Shout out Emily Kathleen. Thank you, Emily. We love you. Justin says, rumor has it Kyle Dubas is trading a 5th for a 5th and a 7th next year. Ooh, that's such a Dubas trade. I like him because he loves to tinker. And the one thing I will always give Kyle Dubas credit for, the man is a good trader. Grishik almost got another goal there, by the way. Hughes at the point. Connor Brown drops it. Connor Brown deep in the Leaf zone. Connor Brown was a part of that very exciting young Toronto Maple Leafs team that we thought, damn, I think they might go and actually win something. Boy, were we wrong. Nice to Domi. Domi stops up. Tries to get the puck to Robertson, who's on the fourth line. He's back in the lineup. Leaves it for Riley. Riley with a shot. It's a muffin. Markstrom sees it the whole way. Gets the glove. But Leafs are going to get an offensive zone faceoff. So, hey, that's good. I know there's apparently a lot of Flames fans that are upset online that they're not getting TJ Ginla. I don't blame them. It feels like a foregone conclusion that one day he'll play in Calgary, but I think Utah made the right call. Don't trade the player that you know is going to probably break out. Pokemon Messiah says, Canes fan thinking this is our year for the Stanley Cup final, hoping the Central kill each other before then. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think the only team that I'd be worried about if I was the Canes, honestly, are the Tampa Bay Lightning. And no disrespect to Detroit or Boston or Buffalo or Montreal. They're all having good years. But you got to remember, Montreal has played 5 games in the playoffs last year. Buffalo hasn't played a playoff game since the Steve Dangle podcast started. I'm going to repeat that again. When the Steve Dangle podcast started, the Buffalo Sabres were starting their teardown and revamp. Our first season, they traded Thomas Vanek at the trade deadline. So, Hayden, that's when he graduated high school. So I'm telling you entered high school. Holy smokes, Hayden. So when we started the show, the Sabres were not in the playoffs, and they had not been in the playoffs the entire time we've done this show. And we've created a whole business and hired employees and everything. So it's been a while. So Buffalo's going to have some growing pains in the playoffs. Detroit likely will have some growing pains in the playoffs, but Detroit's got a lot of experience that I like. Like a guy like Ben Sherratt, come playoff time, he might kill you. He might actually kill you. So, maybe Detroit gets a little further than we thought. Boston, obviously, with Pastrnak in the playoffs, never count out David Pastrnak in the playoffs. But I think if you're a Canes fan, I think it's likely Tampa, Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final. If Tampa stays healthy, that's going to be tough. But they're not healthy, and they haven't been healthy. And Hedman's 35, and Vasilevsky's had hip surgery. I don't know. Could happen. I think my thing with Carolina is in the playoffs, they seem to get bullied by teams from the Atlantic, because the Atlantic in previous years has just been a really tough, mean division. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and the Leafs were soft as hell, so I know this. So if they can get bigger up front. Hey, Hayden, there is a report in the chat about Nashville trading Blankenburg. Can you confirm that for me? Not seeing anything on it. Okay. All right. Not that we doubt you, Blue Snake Jake. Just want to make sure. Did Bobrovsky get moved? Does Bobrovsky get moved? I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to move him. Even if they retain, it's still $5 million, and you have to dress cap-compliant lineups in the playoffs. So I don't know. He's got an .870 save percentage. That's painful, man. He's 37. Maybe he did fall off. Uridun's just dropped $2 because he's a nice person, and the Leafs are going to the box again. This time, I think it's Dakota Joshua. The Preds have posted it, by the way. So the trade is the Predators have acquired a 5th-round pick in the 2027 draft from Colorado in exchange for defenseman Nick Blankenburg. So that's just depth defense for the Colorado Avalanche. Good for them. You kind of need that. So the insiders have not even... So the insiders missed the Blankenburg. Ha-ha. Nashville beat you to it, suckers. Take that. How come you weren't in on the Blankenburg deal, Elliot Friedman and Chris Johnston and Darren Dreger and Pierre LeBrun? Burps McGurp says, remember when SDPN traveled to Nashville after a fan promised Cup Finals tickets if they made it? Would you be willing to do that in other cities? Of course. But I feel we're in a different position financially now. If we were going to do that, we would pay for the tickets. But I don't think we're going to do that this year because... And Hayden's like, and you got to bring your producer, Hayden. I think this year, remember, we were basically kids back then. We were not married. We don't have kids. Steve's got 2 young kids at home. I've got an almost 7-year-old. It's getting easier for me to do. But it is something that we got to we got to plan these things. Oh, Devils almost get one in. Anthony Stolarz is pissed because he got run into, but I think it was totally accidental. And he made a great save. Anthony Stolarz is playing very, very well. He might be the only Leaf on the ice who's really having a great game, to be honest. Emily Kathleen, thoughts on the Stars trade? Also, our jerseys are not bad. Listen, your third jerseys this year that are the throwback to the 90s, those are good, although you need some gold on them. Where's the gold? I'm such a Stars. I'm so horny for the Stars jersey of the 90s when they won the Cup. That jersey rocked. Why did they ever change it? It was so good. So good. I just don't like the glow in the dark jerseys and the big D. It's just like a D with the Texas thing in the background. I'm like, it just doesn't seem as creative to me. Nothing personal. Now, Emily Kathleen says you want perfection. Those were perfection, Emily. Those Stars jerseys were amazing. Those were the best jerseys, some of the best jerseys of that era. No question. It's Blankenship, not Blankenberg. Well, whatever. It's a 5th round pick for a defenseman, guys. We're just going on the high. Bill Monroe says, can the Leafs trade Berube to Calgary again for a Gilmore? That would be nice. Blackhawks first round is top 12 protected, according to Saravalli. So that's a part of the Mangiapane deal. So the Oilers, to get out of the Mangiapane deal, are taking a half-retained Jason Dickinson to help their PK, which sucks. And they got Connor Murphy from the Blackhawks a couple of days ago because he's also a good penalty killer. The Blackhawks, I believe, have the best penalty kill in the league right now. And the Oilers are getting Dickinson, who doesn't score a lot, and Murphy, but they're getting Dickinson retained, and they're saving $1 million, and they're getting out from the Mangiapane contract that they signed this offseason that they really didn't need to do. And they fired a 2027 first round pick that is top 12 protected to the Chicago Blackhawks for Dickinson and another player. I think it's Colton Dock. Hayden says, over-under on tires that Brad Treliving has kicked today. Oof. Now, there's a good question. I think he's kicked a lot of tires. Brad is known as it was quoted to me as Brad Treliving is the tire kicker in chief. So, yeah, anyway. Hayden, what do we have for you can tell my brain's a little off. What do we have for another Formula One team preview? Hayden picked his team for the first intermission. He picked my team. I don't know if you guys are a Formula One fan or not, but I am. And we do this little show called Nailing the Apex, and we preview the entire season and all the teams. So I'm going to go eat the rest of my dinner, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to look at all the trades that have happened. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to do this third period together. And are we going to talk about the game? I mean, I guess. We could even do a poll at the beginning of the third period. Do you want me to do play calling, talk more about the game, or do you want to talk trades? We can do either. Heather the Avs fan dropping 5 SDPN memberships because the Avs just made a big trade. 5th round pick for a depth defenseman. Let's go get excited, flip over tables. Anyway, let's play the clip. Here's your McLaren season preview. Formula One starts this weekend. I want to go to McLaren. And there's a reason I want to go to McLaren is because from what I have heard and what you guys have said on this show, McLaren looked to be, with Red Bull, just the slight tier below Ferrari and Mercedes. Now, that might not last, but I'm curious about where you think they stand early. Will it be something where they come on strong later? Where are McLaren right now?
Tim and I are going to disagree on McLaren, that's for sure.
Great. We love disagreements.
I think they are in the mix. I think they're really in the mix. I don't think they're 4th best. I think they held back a little, and they had a super impressive race run. And later on, we learned they didn't have the latest specification of Mercedes engine that they will now have. I also think they have a better gearbox than the Mercedes does. So I think this team, strange to say it for a World Championship winning team, is the sleeper favorite.
I actually don't disagree with Nelson on that one. I really don't. I think when you look at the development that has to go into this car, speaking with Andrea Stella like a number of times over the past few months, this is a car that I think has been created to add development to it. It was start with a strong base and build off of it. And like, holy geez, like they started with a strong base. The car looked like smooth as butter on the track
On
during week 2.
rails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked great. And they hadn't even added anything to the car either. They're not going to add anything to it heading into Australia either. I mean, that's the sign of a pretty confident team heading to the track. Granted, you also have Mercedes power in the back of your car. And also, Nelson had mentioned it with the gearbox. That's going to play such a significant role within the season as well, especially early on, that if you have that strong combination that's working really well together, which it does seem like it is, I would say they are one of the favorites, Adam, for this Constructors' Championship.
And this is why testing in Bahrain can be a bit deceptive, because they really didn't go for any fast laps.
No.
They were always there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And just the way that car looks on track it feels such a dream. Yes, they had a little bit of mid corner understeer in the faster bits, but that's not a bad thing to have, especially since this car is quite biased to the rear anyway with the loss of grip. So I think they're in a great position, and they have great people to add to it. As Tim says, they are ready to throw development at this car.
I got to ask you guys a question. McLaren is such an interesting case study because they essentially, years ago, were in the same place Williams is now. You're talking about a once great brand that fell off pretty hard, couldn't retain star drivers. We talk about Lewis Hamilton. We talk about Fernando Alonso. They rebuilt this program under Zach Brown. They've had a couple of team principals, and they would tell you, and it's pretty hard to disagree, although Ferrari might have something to say about this, they would tell you they have the best driver lineup on the grid.
And they do.
And I agree with that. But again, I'm showing my bias. I'm also a McLaren fan. I was there for the bad times, though. I want to know what is the strength? What is the beating heart of this McLaren team that they seem to be, compared to a few years ago when they were really on the come up and they were inconsistent? They seem to be a lot more confident in what they are, and they seem to have done really well through this regulation, as you guys have just mentioned. What do you attribute that success to?
I did a documentary on this for Viaplay.
I wasn't going to steal your thunder there, buddy.
What is clear is that Zach has created a culture where people listen to each other, where they're not afraid to voice an opinion, and where people are understood what their value is. So, for instance, the aero department there under Peter Pomodou, it's never been happier, it seems like. The techno department is able to take risks where possible. What is most impressive is that every development they seem to bring to the track seems to work. Now, there is a tendency to overcompensate and overregulate, and you see that in that battle with Norris and Piastri last year. They're micromanaging, but there is not a blame culture, and there seems to be a lot of open communication within that team. People are finding each other, and that may be the best way to describe the management structure that is in place. It is easy for the right people to have the right conversations at the right time together.
Yeah, I would say that the technical department is allowed to be creative. The creativity aspect of your younger aerodynamicists, your younger mechanical engineers, like that, they are allowed to experiment to see if something will go in a direction. And I think that's a part of Andrea Stella's experience working at other teams where stuff like that kind of got snuffed out and teams missed out on, developing great ideas or taking a car in a direction. And that's been one of the big things for Andreas Stella and this technical department that he has built out so well. And I would say Mark Temple getting moved up back in like May 2024 as one of the technical directors of performance. Like I would say that is a pretty big deal, on top of adding Rob Marshall to your aerodynamics and really helping that aerodynamic department like really build out. And I think having those types of great minds working together has taken McLaren to this new level when it comes to aerodynamic performance. Because, like we had said, they have a Mercedes in the back of their car. They don't really need to worry about the power unit. All they need to really focus on is developing a good, strong chassis and something that they can build upon. And yeah, I believe that they've done that for this season.
Yeah, and it's also vehicle dynamics. How do you work the tires? And that's maybe something we haven't touched upon. But getting your rears to survive for a stint this year is
Something
going
they
to
were
be
so
quite.
good at last year. Yeah.
Yeah, and Rob Marshall is the point in case, because he was brought in as a manager,
Yep.
and then they realized, hang on,
Yep.
you still have that passion to design, and you've got great ideas. Listen up, you're our head vehicle designer, basically vehicle dynamics designer, and he was unleashed, and they've been able to unleash the people they had or got, because they also recruited really well, and this team is just a powerhouse.
Okay, so let me ask you about Papaya rules, gentlemen, because if this team's a powerhouse, those are going to come to the fore. I mean, they've been an issue the last couple of years. How have they changed? Because my understanding is there have been some slight tweaks.
Well, I don't think the Papaya rules have been changed. I do think that a lot of the noise around Oscar Piastri has changed. We know Mark Webber isn't going to be a feature in the paddock as much as it was.
Why is that? Sorry to interrupt. Why is that?
Well, I think he was let's say, a staunch defender of Piastri, but within McLaren's philosophy, it may not have worked, and it may not have helped Piastri in the end as well. But I think McLaren has prevailed in that discussion. What they say goes in terms of driver rules, and I think they regret giving it the moniker Papaya rules, because we've gotten a stick to beat them with.
That's a good way to put it.
In the end, every team with drivers of equal capabilities will struggle with this, and McLaren is no different. They just put on a sexy name and said, "Oh, look at us, we've got Papaya rules." I think nothing has changed there.
Okay.
For Piastri, I don't know how much time we got real quick.
Oh, you get some time.
Okay. When it comes to Mark Webber and Oscar Piastri, definitely like they still stay in contact during the testing. We had spoken to Oscar about it, and he still calls him like a couple times a week. They still have communication going on between the two of them. It's not like there was a fallout or anything like that. Mark is still part of the program, so to speak. When it comes to Lando Norris, this seeing him, chatting with him, he just looks different, confident. Yeah. Okay. It looks like the weight is off the shoulders, and there was a relaxation and a confidence with him. And I noticed that on the track, like watching him on the Friday night, man, he was just banging out laps after lap after lap, looked super comfortable. He could push when he wanted to. He knew he was very measured with everything that he did when he was out on the track that night. It was really impressive to see. And I still say that I still think that, once you get that one world championship sort of out of the way, that's the one. Like, look at what happened with Max, right? It was a little herky-jerky trying to get that first world championship. There was a lot of mistakes, and there were some things here and there, but once he got it, after that, see you later, right? Yeah. I think the same sort of thing could happen for Lando as well. Just getting that one championship out of the way, and maybe that opens the door, makes things a little more natural for yourself throughout a season.
So, where do you have them, guys?
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay. McLaren's going to win the Constructors' World Championship.
Same. I got it too. Yep.
Wow. We've got a number one from both of you guys. Again, a rare agreement because you guys have kind of disagreed on a few different things. So James Johnson YYC just tweeted this out, and I think this is really cool. You know, we talked a lot about how the Pittsburgh Penguins have a ton of draft capital going into the next 3 drafts. I think they've got 40 draft picks in the next 4 drafts, and I think 16 picks in the 16 of those picks are in the top 3 rounds, which is pretty amazing. As of right now, according to James, the Flames will head into the 2026 draft with their own first, Vegas's first, their own second, New York's second, Ottawa's second, Utah's second. So that's 2 firsts, 4 seconds, and 2/3, one from Vancouver and one that's their own. And I think the Vancouver one is the leftover from the Elias Lindholm trade a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Could have been. Anyway, that's pretty sick for Calgary. And by the way, over the break there, while you guys were watching, what's up, Hayden? So that's, sorry, Hayden wants me to drive the point home here. Calgary would have 8 of the first 67 selections. That's crazy. He's right. He's like, maybe drive that point home a little harder. Yeah. I want to talk about something else, though. I was thinking about it over the thing, over the break here, the little 10-minute break here where you were watching the Formula One stuff. And I was thinking about the Oilers giving that first-round pick to, you know, they got Dickinson, but they got out from under the Mangiapane contract. They were desperate to get rid of it. And I think Toronto's in trouble. Now, people are saying there's Nick Waugh news. What did he say? What is Saravalli saying? Okay, that's not news. That's not news. No. So Frank is saying that they want a first-round pick for Nick Waugh. Okay, great. Like, that's not news. Like, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course they want a first-round pick for a very good center who has another year left on his deal, of course. That isn't news, though. There's nothing breaking. What I want to say about Toronto is that I was kind of thinking, like, why didn't that deal happen with Toronto? Like, Scott Lawton is cheaper and I think better than Dickinson. OEL maybe is not a penalty killer, but I think he'd be more valuable for the Oilers than Connor Murphy. And I know those are 2 separate trades, but it's the 2 same teams. And I'm thinking about it, and the more I think about it, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, that 2027 first-round pick that's, you know, top 12 protected, that should be in Toronto right now. Right now, that should be here. And I asked a couple of people that I know that I trust in the hockey world, and the quote I got was, I'm not going to give you the exact quote, but it was, they are frozen by their own over-analyzing of decisions. And it's been floating out there for a long, long time, and Flames fans will know this. Brad Treliving is not a decisive person. He's a person that struggles to commit to a decision, which makes it odd to think that he's been a general manager so long. And so I think it sounds like from people that I've talked to, and that's just in the last 10 minutes, that a lot of people think that Oilers first rounder should have gone to Toronto had Toronto acted sooner. Yeah, 6 questions. Len says paralysis by analysis. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Exactly that. Should be the name of the pod on Friday. Yeah, you're right. Guys. Anyway, I'll get annoyed. I'm already annoyed. I think the Leafs are going to fuck this up. I think they're going to screw this up. Because I don't think the Oilers have a first-round pick this year. And the condition on the 2027 pick is that it's top 12 protected, which means they only have a 2028 first to give. Ooh. Oh, boy. This could be really ugly. I'm just telling you. I'm warning you. If you're a Leaf fan, get ready to get pretty darn upset. Wow. 6 questions. Len says, nothing says blockbuster like checks notes. Nick Blankenberg? Hey, not every trade at the trade deadline is a blockbuster, but they can make a big difference. Sometimes you have a defenseman who's a little banged up, too banged up to go, so you got to get him in there. Man, I'm absolutely blown away. There have been way more top-round picks traded than I expected. Now, it doesn't mean that the Oilers don't have things to give. They have Ike Howard. They have Matt Savoy. I don't know if they're willing to give those guys up, but, the Leafs and the Oilers have seemed such like a perfect pairing of we have what you want. We have what you need. And instead, it looks like Edmonton went to Chicago and went for an awkward fit. I don't know. This is ugly. This is going to be ugly. I'm really genuinely, you guys are on the stream with me. We're a closed group here. I think we're in trouble. I think we're in big trouble. And by the way, if they go through this deadline and it's disappointing, you have every right to rage as much as you can until they make a decision and the decision that we all know needs to happen with management and with coaching. Every right. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, anyway. Not the real Pavel Bure says, I think the Leafs do 2 trades. Well, here's the thing. You could do 2 trades. Are they good trades? Are they valuable trades? Do they change anything for next season? Why? Puck over to Michelli. The Watt Michelli Joshua line has actually had it going tonight, which is kind of hilarious. Nobody else seems to. Although Easton Cowan looks okay on that top line. It's almost like if you play a guy with high skill with a bunch of other high skill players, he looks pretty good. I don't know what to do with Berube. Terrible manager of young talent. He is. Yanaki says, what happened? Who got traded? Yanaki, I'm talking about the Oilers trade with Chicago and how I think I'm almost positive the Leafs were talking about a similar deal with the Edmonton Oilers. I can't confirm it myself, but trust me when I tell you, I'm like 99% sure that deal was on the table for the Leafs. And all they would have had to do is take the Mangiapane money back. Bonjuro says, what if the Leafs trade prospects for Kadri? What prospects? No, you got to keep Harry Nancy and Miroslav Holinka and Luke Hames and Jacob Quillen. First off, they don't have a lot of value to other teams right now. And second, you got to have somebody play hockey for you. No guarantees any of those guys make the NHL, but at very least they're going to be AHLers. You got to see what you have. Polygame says, just seeing the NL regiment are back on track to break the first season QMJHL attendance record. What was better, your 100 views or the first 100K views on YouTube? I don't remember either, to be honest. And it's not because we don't track numbers, we do. But when you're in it, doing what we're doing, your only focus is on your next video because you're only as good as your last show. If our last show sucks, that's how I look at it. You're only as good as your next show or your last show, I guess the one that you've just posted. So that's how I look at it. I have rarely taken a minute to take a look around. It's sort of like, what's our next thing? What do we got to do? I make sure we're covering this and posting a video about that. That's the focus. Sedin Magic 15 says, with the prices defensemen are going for, do you think the Canucks will explore trading noted Alan Walsh client Philip Roenick? I can guarantee you they won't. And my source on that is Alan Walsh. He talked about it a couple of episodes ago on Agent Provocateur. And under no circumstances will Philip Roenick get traded out of Vancouver. He's not leaving. He's not waiving, and they don't want to trade him. They see him as the mentor for the young defensemen of the future, guys like Zeev Buium. They're going to need great NHL players to learn from, and Phil Roenick is that guy. He's taking on more of a leadership role at the team, so they expect him to be a part of the core going forward. Freeman Gunner says, who cares about hockey? Let's talk about Adrian Newey admitting Aston Martin can't run a full race distance without shaking itself apart. Man, what a disaster. Yes, I did. It's crazy. So yeah, it's so basically, guys, I want you to imagine, if you're a hockey fan, I want you to imagine that an NHL team, which is basically one of the richer NHL teams, spent a bunch of money on free agents, and then once the season started, they said, "Hey, guys, we can't play because all of our guys are injured, and we can't even compete in a game." Aston Martin, a Formula One team, definitely will not be able to finish a race. They can't finish the race. Formula One. It's insane. It's insane. Give it to me. Puckpedia has broken a trade. Let's go. No. So the New York Islanders have acquired Andrew Mangiapane for Jonathan Drouin. How has Drouin done this year? Hold on. How about I check with his agent? I'm kidding. I'm checking on Jonathan Drouin. I'm checking his stats with the Islanders. He's got 20 points in 53 games this year. Jonathan Drouin potentially on his way. It's the Islanders, right, that have done this trade. Okay. Adam, what are your thoughts on the price being asked for Nick Waugh? I'm not doubting Frank Saravalli's reporting, but okay, let me show you something. I'm gonna explain market forces for 2 seconds here, and you guys already know this, but I'm gonna just give it to you anyway. Let's say you like watches. I love watches, actually. I'm a big watch guy. I think they're so cool, and the details and everything's amazing. The watch I'm wearing today cost me just shy of $80. This is a Casio. It's a digital watch. I absolutely love this watch. You'll see me wearing this all the time. It's one of the coolest watches in my collection. And it's an alarm. It's got the chronograph, whatever, but it's sort of that 80s throwback style, okay? All right. So that's my watch. Let's say I go to a watch show and I'm selling my watches. And I know there's a lot of people at the watch show who want to buy watches. And maybe some of them want digital watches too, right? Digital watches are a bit, they're always a little cheaper than the ones that are, mechanical or self-winding or whatever, or winding even. And I say, I want $500 for this watch. I can ask $500 for this watch all I want. I can ask $500 all day. Let's say the convention goes on for 3 straight days. I can be like, this watch, you want it? $500. If no one's willing to pay it, then this watch isn't worth $500. If no one's willing to pay the $80 that I paid for it, then it's not worth $80. See what I'm saying? So Nick Waugh, when you ask me about Nick Waugh and what's the asking price for Nick Waugh, the Toronto Maple Leafs know that they can hang on to this guy. He's got another year left on his deal. They know that he's had a down season, although positionally and the way he's played the position, I think he's been great. But his scoring is down. But so is the entire team, and that's Craig Berube's system, right? Nick Waugh should be a 15-goal guy. He's got like 6, I think. It's bad. Oh, it's so cool. Wow, you want a first-round pick? That's so nice. My question is always to those types of tweets. And again, no disrespect to Frank for getting it out there, because I think it's important to see, what teams are asking for what. Puckpedia has retracted the trade. LOL. That's hilarious. Okay. Um, uh, so my point is this. I want to see what the market's willing to bear. And with Dickinson, with Edmonton, like there are teams that need centers. Like I look at, who could use a good centerman is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Crosby's out. They've struggled a little bit since he's been out, obviously. Malkin's having just an unbelievable year. And I don't know. I don't know if Nick Waugh will get you that. So what do I think about it? I think it's a great starting position. I just don't know that you get it. Until you get an offer that matches that, that's what it is. Does that make sense? Or is a really long answer, but that's just what I'm thinking. By the way, score is still 2-2. Big shot in from the point, and Stolarz is standing on his head tonight. The one thing the Leafs should do in New York tonight, because they're going to play the Rangers tomorrow, is they should buy Anthony Stolarz a delicious steak dinner to say thank you so much for not letting us embarrass ourselves in New Jersey. St. Louis to the Max says, will you guys be covering the World Baseball Classic? Canada looks like they'll have a very winnable group. Sending love to the SDP from St. Lou. I think Jesse probably will. He knows baseball. Like, he was a very good baseball player. He keeps saying he wasn't. He was very good. I hope so. I think so. Haven't talked about it yet, but I'd like to see that. It all depends on timing, too, because remember, we also have the World Cup of Soccer. So there's a lot of world things going on right now. Trash Panda says, Adam, was that a subtle reference to planes, trains, and automobiles with the offer for a Casio? LOL. To be honest, Trash Panda, it's been so long since I've seen that movie that I have no idea what you're talking about. How much do I love John Candy, says Hayden. He's the best. Canadian treasure. And I'm sad that he's not still around. Feels like we could use his humor this time. You know what, Hayden? I don't think I can. Freeman Gunner, who cares about hockey? Oh, yeah, we already got that one. I just want to make sure. Okay. Okay, so let me ask the chat something since we're all here. I need to know if you're a Leaf fan. Actually, even if you're not a Leaf fan, this will be even more fun if you're not a Leaf fan. You guys know the Leafs are a disaster this year. What must the trade deadline look like for the Toronto Maple Leafs for it to be considered a successful trade deadline? Give me all of the moves that the Leafs would have to make. Include the returns if you want to. Let's start building a list. If you hate the Leafs, like the true king does, if you hate the Leafs, I want to know what you think the Leafs need to do in order to be like, hey, this trade deadline feels a little like Boston last year. Kriska Rafinsky says OEL is going to make or break this trade deadline, in my humble opinion. Interesting. I think he could. He might be the most valuable piece they have. Abby says OEL, Bobby McMahon, McCabe, and Lawton. So here's the deal. McCabe's not going anywhere. He'll have a bounce back year next year. McCabe's not going anywhere. He's staying. Nuke the Whales says, that's quite the name. Fire Berube for the deadline. Jesse says Kadri is old. Rebuild around Cowan and Nyes. Trade Nylander for Schaefer or Makar. Yeah. You can't. Nylander would not get you Schaefer or Makar. Trade Brandon Carlo to Boston for Minton. These are funny. I like these. Bunky Boy. Adam, what is something you miss about Keefe? I'll come back to you. Okay, Monkey, I will come back to you. I promise. Leafs should buy Gus Nyquist, the man who has 0 goals in 50 games. Can you believe that? Gus Nyquist, who was with the Minnesota Wild, Hayden's favorite team last year, didn't score a single point in the playoffs after being acquired for a second-round pick, and has 0 goals in 50-plus games this year. Hayden says he remembered editing that trade video and said, I don't know why we're doing this, and this is my team. The True King says you need to move the UFAs at very least and pray to hit the lottery. So you need McMahon and Lawton have got to move, right? And I think that makes sense. If they don't trade those guys, get out of here. B-Dep says, what time will SDPN start streaming on Friday for the deadline? We are going to be posting videos every single time there's a trade. So you can expect that once there's a trade within the hour, there's going to be a video up reacting to it, probably sooner than that. Hayden is going to be editing his ass off. So pray for Hayden. And then, yeah, what was I going to say? The streaming, so that we're going to be having videos, instant reactions all day for all the trades. And then we will do a live stream for 90 minutes starting at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. People are saying Nylander for Robert Thomas. You know, in a way I could see that. I think there would have to be more in that deal. And I think maybe, you think Kyrou would have to come back? So you say Nylander for Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou. I don't think that. Hayden says you're not doing Rob Thomas for Nylander. And I agree. Like, Nylander is a better player than Robert Thomas. But where I can see this making sense, even though it's never been discussed, and please don't take this as it's some sort of trade rumor that I got from a source. I didn't get it from a source, and it's not true. But a Nylander for Rob Thomas deal could make sense because it would give the Leafs the second line center they so desperately need. Because Matthews is your first line center. Tavares next year needs to be on the third line. And you can find scoring wingers. Like, you can develop them. Look at Bobby McMahon. He's playing first line minutes. You know, he's not necessarily a first liner on every team, but playing first line minutes. Leafs need a power trio up the middle. And I think Matthews and a guy like Robert Thomas could make a lot of sense. If they did trade Nylander, that's the kind of move I would need to see them make. But I also can see a world where if you were going to trade somebody as big as Nylander, is Adam Fox available? He sure seems like it is. Oh, geez, Devils with a couple of good shots on Stolarz. Stolarz is going to face 40 shots here very, very soon. Their Devils are at 37. Toronto's at 21. Guys, these guys are going to sink like a rock. It's crazy how bad the Leafs are. It's crazy. Let's see what else. People are saying we could get a lot for Nyes. So what if you could trade Nyes for that defenseman you've been looking for? So I'm not saying you trade Nylander and Nyes. Just take it as in a vacuum. Oh, there's a 2-on-1. Oh, thankfully Morgan Riley broke that up. Let's say you trade Matthew Nyes for a top-line defenseman. One guy I've got an eye on. They're not going to trade him right now because they're in a playoff race. But Zach Werenski's contract's up after next year. Is that a guy that re-signs in Columbus, or is that a guy that they move? Obviously, they want to get better, and they would want him to stay. But I wonder if Nashville has clarity, or not Nashville, Columbus has clarity on that yet. Hayden thinks he's a Blue Jacket for life. And Zach, who is a Ranger fan, says, listen, Adam Fox stays a Ranger for life. All right, I'm just saying, like, that's that. If we're talking about the Leafs and a perfect deadline, okay, let's narrow our scope a little bit. I'm not asking you for fantasy trades that you would make in NHL 25. I am just asking you to bring this to an acceptable level of, okay, I think they got some business done. I'll give you an example. I'd like McMahon to bring back a first. I'd like Lawton to bring back a second. I'd like them to trade OEL for a first. Well, considering the way firsts have been throwing around, I think you get a first and a prospect for OEL, given his contract. Maybe I'm crazy. I could be wrong. That would be, to me, not great, but an acceptable deadline. And those are the three players the Leafs are holding out right now. That's what I would say. That's all I'm saying. So that's the kind of, like, let's not get core pieces. They're not going to move core pieces until June or July, if they were going to move them at all. They're not moving Matthews, by the way, so take that one off your list. So OEL, Lawton, or Wah, says BA, would be great to move if any of the big contenders just have a ton of picks or pray for a top 5 lottery pick. Like the Leafs need a full rebuild. This draft looks deep. I don't know. Again, if Austin Matthews is on your team, this isn't a full rebuild. It's a retool. So let's change our vocabulary. If Matthews is playing for the Maple Leafs for the next couple of years, like we know he is, then this is not a rebuild. It's a retool. And we can move core pieces, but they're not moving at the deadline. They're moving in June or July. So let's go to the can you move Matthias Michelli? He scored tonight, had a nice little goal. He's an incomplete player, but he has scored 50 points in the NHL before, and he's had a pretty good last couple of months with the Leafs. Tavares with a shot. Oh, Matthew Knies out of thin air. Tavares raced down the ice, carried the puck the entire way. Jake Markstrom had the puck go off of his glove on a very hard John Tavares shot, and out of thin air, Matthew Knies scores a baseball goal. The Leafs are being outshot 40-22 and somehow are leading the Devils. Hayden just told me that's their second shot of the entire period, and there's only 6 minutes to go. Boy, if it ain't bad, it's bad luck in New Jersey. Holy moly. Listen, a win still feels good. It's nice to see Matthew Knies score a goal. That's nice. C-Lib says the Bruins traded everyone with value who wasn't nailed down. You need to start with Waugh, Lawton, McMahon, and OEL. And could Carlo get some sort of return and or a Marchand equivalent? So as in, like, Marchand was, I believe, traded for a conditional third that upgraded to a second or a first, didn't it? Was it conditional third or conditional second? D-Man says, Adam, just move what you can value and let the new GM take over. Yeah. Pretzel Hunt says it's Jakob Markstrom. All right, I call him Jake Markstrom. All right. All right. T-San says, this is such a Keefe game, outshooting and outplaying the other team and still somehow losing. It's so true. It's so true. How many times do we see this with the Leafs? Sparta says, I hate the Leafs, but I want them to win because I hate the Bruins more. Well, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Zerum says, only 6 years to rebuild as the Sharks. Well, the Sharks had a very unfavorable situation where they had a bunch of veteran guys who were definitely not good, locked up to long-term deals, and they tried to extend their cup window by trading a bunch of great pieces for Erik Karlsson and then signing him to an expensive deal. So the Sharks kind of put themselves in that position. I don't know if you read that Shen Ping interview with Hasso Plattner. Shen Ping, by the way, is the reporter for the San Jose Sharks. Doesn't work for the team, works for another outlet, but he's a really, really nice guy, really good person, and a very good reporter. He did an interview with the owner of the Sharks at the beginning of the season, and Hasso Plattner, to his credit, was right up front about it. He was like, yo, we had to rebuild, and we knew it was going to be painful because we had these insane contracts on the books. So Remily says the Leafs should get Laine for future considerations and see if it works. Let me tell you guys something. I think the Laine days might be numbered in the NHL. He might get a PTO, he might get a contract. But Laine's 5-on-5 numbers are abysmal. You cannot trust him in 5-on-5 situations. And how much of the game do you play on the power play? 4 minutes, 6 minutes if you're lucky? I don't know a lot of teams that can have room for that on their roster with how competitive things are and expect to win. Sedin Magic 15, if Myers can get a second and a fourth, Carlo can get at least that. I agree, but Patrick Allvin has been decisive. The issue we have with Brad Treliving is it's kind of known that he's indecisive. Richard 1127 says, as a Wild fan, oh, there's another one, Hayden. Hayden is also a Wild fan. Hayden, my producer. I don't think they will trade Yurov. If they move a center prospect, I'd say it's Charlie Stramel. 21-year-old, 6'3", 215 pounds with Michigan State, 19 goals, 41 points in 32 games. So this guy's a good prospect. So do you think Yurov or Stramel's going to be the better player, though? Okay, so you think Stramel will be the better NHL player, but Yurov's an NHL player now. Interesting. Because, yeah, we talked a lot today about the Minnesota Wild, obviously, because of the McLaren trade. And I just wonder, like, they've got to be out there getting I wonder, do they buy high? Like, do you go after the Nazem Kadri and like do you eat Colorado's lunch and go get Nazem Kadri? Oh, big save by Stolarz, kind of eked in there. Chris Johnson just updating the San Jose Sharks trade. The San Jose Sharks now own Edmonton's 2026 first-round pick unprotected to complete the Jake Wallman trade. It had previously been top 12 protected unless Edmonton moved its 2027 first, which they just did, to Chicago in the Jason Dickinson deal. So that's where – so the Sharks have Edmonton's – man, the Sharks are really well run. Man, that deal sucks. That deal sucks. How did the Leafs not take advantage of this? So Stan Bowman stinks, but how did the Leafs not take advantage of that? Are you kidding me? You guys are seeing what we're seeing, right? Anyway, I'm sorry, I can't get on the Leafs. I want to talk Wylde for a sec. Do the Wylde buy high and take and what I mean by that is get a Trocheck, get a Kadri, get a high-end center. I think Trocheck's a better fit. Do you get those guys, and then you're able to move Ryan Hartman down the lineup to third-line center? Because I think that's probably – I know he's playing first-line center right now, but Hayden, correct me if I'm wrong, he's probably better at third, right? Hartman. Yeah, you don't want him in the top six. You want Eriksson Ek. I would want, in a perfect scenario for the Wylde, I would want Eriksson Ek as the second-line center. That's who I want there. Hayden says he's the best embodiment of a second-line center in the NHL. Perfect. Love that. Okay, so you got player X. I think you might have to aim higher than Trocheck for that, but whatever. If you buy high, you can do that. If you don't mind Hartman in the top six, you could buy low or lower and get yourself like a Nick Waugh, who I feel like would be a good fit. But you are going to need big bodies, and you're going to need scoring up the middle. And we've seen good team after good team. And in fact, the Devils have tied it up. What a goal. What a goal. I believe it's Connor Brown, because of course it is. It has to be a former Leaf. It has to be. It has to be. Wow. Downtown Connor Brown with a good tip in, and the New Jersey Devils finally get the third goal in. Anthony Stolarz has made 40 saves tonight. The Leafs have had 23 shots, the Devils 43, and it's number 43 that helps set up this goal to Connor Brown, and Benoit knocked Hughes over, and it looks like Hughes might be a little hurt. That's Luke Hughes, that is. He spun midair. I could see how Stolarz wouldn't have had a shot at saving that, and that's because Benoit pushed Luke Hughes into him, and I think Stolarz might be hurt. Please don't be hurt. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if he's hurt at this point. Get him ready for next season. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. The Wylde I think I would aim high. TMB Sports, what are the chances of a Stolarz trade? I don't think likely. That happened, it would be in the offseason. And I think if you are going to trade one of Woll or Stolarz, you trade Stolarz because he's older. But both of them are made of glass. So even if you have Woll and you have Hildeby and he's ready for the NHL, you're still probably going to need a third goalie anyway. Bunky Boy, what do you think of Villeneuve, Sturberg, and Quillen? Well, I think Villeneuve deserves a shot next year in the NHL because Berube is not going to play him. Quillen I really like. I like his speed and that sort of thing. I'm just curious, because the AHL's as much as it's just below the NHL, it is a step below, a significant one. Is Quillen's game going to translate? Can Quillen be a 30 or a 40-point guy in the NHL? That would be my major question. I don't know. I don't know enough, to be honest. Ashkova, as much as I like Line A, I don't see him in the Habs' future. If they can trade him for a bag of pucks, he might be more useful in a mentor capacity somewhere. Listen, no disrespect to Line A. I don't think teams see him as a mentor. I don't know what teams see him as, but I don't think, he was taking defensive reps in practice the other day because they were short a man on the defensive side. I don't know that Patrick Laine is going to be long for the NHL. Leafs have pulled their goalie. Oh, my God. Robertson just missed a beautiful opportunity. Was that Markstrom that saved that? Robertson flew in. Look at this pass by Michelli, who's definitely trying to get traded. And Markstrom makes the kick save and a beauty. Wow. That is a veteran kick save. Wow. Jake Markstrom just saved the game for the Devils. Damn. Good save, man. Good save. There are signs of life. Spectre says, the returns are not going to be as lucrative this season. I'm truly concerned the market is not lining up with what the Leafs need to be successful. Oh, no. No. The market was there, and it was the Oilers. Go look at that Oilers trade for Dickinson. You're telling me the Leafs couldn't have done that? They probably could have. The Oilers would have ended up with a better player than Dickinson. But the Leafs, I think the Leafs have bungled that. I think that's going to come out after the deadline. Corrupted 101 says, OT loss again. This will be a chef's kiss LFR. I don't know what to expect from Steve's LFRs at this point. I think you just got to kind of have fun. He said he's really upset that they lost but also got a point. Okay. Would Barry Trotz be a good replacement at coach? Trisha, appreciate the question. Probably. He might, but I don't think the Leafs need another defensive-minded coach. I think they need a guy who's a little bit more offensive-minded than Berube, and Barry Trotz is retiring. He's all done. Ian Ball says, can we please keep Waugh and Joshua? No problem keeping them as third and fourth line centers and wings. Yeah, listen, I like Dakota Joshua. I've liked him since the playoffs where he was with Vancouver. He was awesome. Obviously, after that, he found out he had cancer. And then he had a rough year last year in Vancouver because, he didn't play till, I think it was January. Inspiring story, but it's difficult when you've missed that much time. And then this season, he had the injury early, and then he had a lacerated spleen just as he was getting his game on track. It was crazy. Oh. Anyway. I like Dakota Joshua a lot. And I don't think the Leafs have a choice. He's not going anywhere. He's making $3.45 million, and he's got 2 more years. Dakota Joshua's a Leaf next year. Hey, we're going to overtime. Who's OT picks? All right, everybody. Let's give me your OT picks. I know that we've only been half watching this game together. Well, we've been watching the full game, but the game is not really the centerpiece. The trades are the centerpiece. Okay, so we're thinking for New Jersey. I have really liked Jesper Bratt's game tonight. That's my pick for New Jersey. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's funny because you don't have Lawton, who's not going to play in overtime anyway. You don't have a McMahon, who would play in overtime. Does Michelli get some time in OT? He's had an active game. I'm going full hipster here. I'm being difficult. It should be like Nylander or Matthews or whatever. Bratt for New Jersey makes sense. Michelli doesn't for Toronto because he probably doesn't get a shift. But you know what? Matthias, mother effing Michelli. Let's get crazy. All right, we got some picks. Some people are saying Mitch Marner for Toronto. Ha ha. Nylander. All right. Somebody said it's Magic 8 Ball time. Magic 8 Ball, a very saucy Magic 8 Ball this year, might I remind you. Okay? Matthews hasn't scored since January 27th? Whoa. Okay, here's the deal. Magic 8 Ball. Will Austin Matthews score the OT winner tonight? You may rely on it. Wow. Oh, Magic 8 Ball. Oh, I knocked over the SDPN sign here. Oopsies, poopsies. Here we go. All right, let's get this. So it's I don't know why Berube is going with McCabe to start. Like, he had OEL last game, and he's like, no, I'm not going to play him in overtime. bizarre. Anyway, I'll fix that after. Whatever. Tavares is going to take the face off, and then he is going to go off, and Nylander is going to come on. So Tavares wins the face off. Leafs get possession. McCabe blasts into the New Jersey zone over to Matthews, and he gets a quick little backhand. I don't know why McCabe rushed that play. He didn't need to do that. But Nylander is back to break up the play, and here we go. I will play call this one. Nylander behind the net as the Leafs collect. McCabe, it looks like he's going to go off, too, to get Morgan Riley on the ice. The Leafs love this. Riley, Matthews, Nylander. I never understood why they didn't put our good friend OEL in here. Here comes Riley. He's going to drop it for Matthews. Matthews is probably going to look for Nylander, although he does drive the net. And that puck is given to the Devils, and the Leafs are going to go for a quick change here. Nico Hischier behind the net, waiting for the Devils to change as well. .353 left in overtime. And we're still waiting for the Devils to move this thing. Here they go. Jesper Bratt, my pick for the Devils to score the overtime winner. Across the blue line, leaves it for Jack Hughes. Dougie Hamilton's also out there with him. That's a pretty good overtime combo. Jack Hughes with a shot. Good save by Anthony Stolarz. McCabe gets it, but he falls. Oh, that could have been dangerous. Jack Hughes was right in the right area, but just a step behind Tavares. Tavares crosses the blue line, tries to make a deke. One-handed, backhand, out front, and Michelli almost had an opportunity. There's Michelli. Hey, Bratt and Michelli have both had somewhat chances. Blue Snake Jake says, Adam, OEL was scratched tonight. I know. I was talking about Philadelphia on Monday. I didn't say that. I can't expect you guys to read my mind, but I don't know why OEL's not out there. Michelli almost sprung for a breakaway there, too, but he's going to go off. And here comes Connor Brown, the guy that scored the tie goal for the New Jersey Devils, former Toronto Maple Leaf. Back to the point, and it's Jack Hughes. Move. Domi is able to break that up, and out come Domi, Robertson, and Riley. Oh, Craig Berube is getting crazy. Domi makes the pass to Riley. Riley can't handle the pass, and it goes back to the Devils. Timo Meier is going to force the Leafs to stay on the ice and bring the puck up. 2:27 remaining in overtime. Just got to make sure this doesn't go to a shootout because the Leafs suck at that. Here comes Brown. Oh, excuse me. Yes. Oh, what a hit. And back down the ice it goes. Whoa, Cotter just had a great pass, and he kind of almost beat Nylander there. Stetcher is now on the ice with Nylander and Matthews. That kind of makes sense. I've missed Troy Stetcher in the lineup. Matthews gets the puck stripped by Mercer. Oh, that's not Mercer. That's Kritchik. Oh, wow, and what a setup, and they are not able to get that puck on the net. 2-on-1, it was beautiful. All right, here we go. 1 minute and 35 seconds to go. I thought it was Connor Brown earlier. It was not Connor Brown. Sometimes I can't totally see the numbers, so it's hard. Luke Hughes backs off at the Leaf blue line, resets, drops to Jesper Bratt. Hischier to Bratt. There he is. He's going to break in. Wraparound opportunity. Oh, I thought he was going to go for it. Back out to the point to Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes using his skates. He's moving that puck really well. Out front. Nylander almost gave the puck away to Hischier right in front of Stolarz, but he's able to knock Hischier down. And now Nylander, 2-on-2 with Matthews, and throws the puck all the way back down to Anthony Stolarz, who's a pretty good passer, tried to find Matthews. Boy, this is sloppy as hell. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we might be going to a shootout unless Jack Hughes ends it right here. Jack Hughes. Connor Brown to Jack Hughes. Hamilton's with him. Hughes breaking in. 17 seconds to go. Michelli's got the puck. Oh, it's a bad pass up the ice, and here come the Devils. 7 seconds to go. Dougie Hamilton's wide open shot. Oh, and Jack Hughes misses a wide open cage. It should have been over. It should have been over. The New Jersey Devils should have won this game. What a terrible pass. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You got to be kidding me. Oh. I think is Matthews hurt or is he tired? This game sucks, man. This game is so hilarious. Like, let's be honest, guys. Both teams don't want to win this game, or both fan bases don't want them to win. Now the Leafs, I'm gonna warn Devils fans. The Leafs suck in the shootout. Nylander's usually money. Matthews never scores, and they usually go with Domi as the number 3 guy. I'm going to imagine they're going to go with what? Hughes, Brott, and who? By the way, the Leafs they just can't, man. They simply can't. Oh, wow. Corrupted says OT loss again. It'll just, oh yeah, I already mentioned that one. Corrupted also said Preds traded again for a 5th from the Avs. Definitely selling, of course. M. Witten says, is Connor Brown just an all-time guy? Would he make your team of all-time, hey, that's a guy. That's a guy team. Yes. Connor Brown is also a beauty. You take good care of him in New Jersey, guys. If you're Devils fans, we love Connor Brown here in Toronto. Matthews is hurt. If he's actually hurt, shut him down for the season. He's in significant pain. You don't need Austin Matthews playing another game this season. You don't. J-Mac says, you're right. Leafs nerf it. Lost dance, all partners. I'm not sure what you tried to say there. But I hope whatever edible you took that led to that sentence feels good. Now, here comes Cotter. He's going to be the first shooter for New Jersey. Cotter in on Stollers. And what a great move. He gets Stollers to commit. He goes backhand. He tries to get Stollers to commit on the forehand and goes backhand. That was sexy. Ooh. Yeah. That was hot. I'm a little turned on by that goal. I'm not going to lie. Here comes Nylander. All right. They got the booze. And here comes Nylander, who scored in his shootout attempt against Philadelphia on Monday. In on Markstrom. Shot. And a great save in the glove. He tried to get Markstrom, tried to catch him. By the way, those are Olympic teammates from this year. Nylander tried to catch Markstrom. I think he's tried to catch him under the glove. Markstrom read that perfectly. You kind of wonder why he didn't go in on the deke. And here comes Brott. Hey, maybe I'm right, and Jesper Brott scores here, and New Jersey does, in fact, get the game winner with him. We'll see. Here comes Brott in on Stollers. Oh, sexual. Holy smokes. Another commitment, man. Both guys, Cotter and Brott, get Stollers to go down early on the forehand, and then they go backhand shelf. Sexy. All right. Brott might have the game-winning goal here if Matthews and his hurt wrist can't get it done. He couldn't get it done Monday versus Philly with a good wrist. And I'll be honest with you, shootouts are not really Austin's thing, but there's always a chance that this game gets even sillier than it already is. Matthews in, and that is it. I was right. Brott scored the game-winning goal, even though it doesn't count as that. Man, the Leafs with points in back-to-back games, proving the haters wrong. Experience Toronto Maple Leaf hockey. Oh. You know, I think if you're the Devils, the positives from this game are, well, at least we're not them, right? At least we're not them. If you're the Leafs, the positive from this game is Anthony Stollers has still got it. I'm pretty sure the shots at the end of the game were like 48-23, if I remember correctly, if that's how they score them. That means Anthony Stollers made roughly 44 or 45 saves tonight and let in 3 goals. So his save percentage is well over 900, but he let in 3 goals. Bonkers. The Leafs stink, dude. Now the pressure is on Brad even more. Better start selling, Brad. Better start selling. What do you make all that money for, Brad? Come on. Let's get it going. All right. Now, I want to just quickly give a couple of promos here. New CJ show tomorrow, right before the deadline, baby. Come on. Chris Johnson is going to tell you. He already told me. He told me in the group chat in the second intermission, because I checked in. I said, Siege, we missing anything? And he said, don't worry. He's very secretive. Don't worry. Emptying the clip tomorrow on the CJ show. Oh, baby. So, going to be a juicy CJ show tomorrow. Steve Dangle podcast, SDPN, trade deadline special is on Friday. Every time there's a trade, we will do a reaction video because I don't want to do like a day-long stream fest. That's so outdated. We'll let the networks do that. We're going to do the videos all day in reaction to every single trade. So if you see a trade and it's your favorite team, we're doing it. And we will do our live stream at the end of the day, 5 o'clock onwards, SDPN YouTube channel right here. Kind of like what I'm doing, only it'll be me, Steve, and Jesse, and you will be seeing a live Steve Dangle podcast on Friday. Yeehaw. Okay? All right. Hey, listen, a lot of you came in tonight. A lot more people than I really expected to come in for a game like this. We almost got up to 2,000 concurrent views, which is that's kind of bonkers that we got that many people in. So thank you so much for coming in for this. Really, really enjoyed having you. Listen, I'm going to be streaming games during the weekdays for the rest of the year. And during the playoffs, that's when it's going to get crazy. Now, no Leafs this playoffs? No problem. I don't do any Leafs games anyway. Steve's very probably going to do, I would think he's going to do Montreal in the first round. I'm probably going to do Edmonton in the first round. We'll see where it takes us after that. But I love you all. You know that we're going to be here live streaming everything. And hopefully Brad does something tonight or tomorrow. Please, Leafs Nation needs it. Big thank you to Robert for moderating chat. Big thank you to Hayden for handling the production. Love you all. And we will see you on Friday, if not sooner, because there might be some trade videos before then.